name is Marcus. I'm the compiler of a collection of therapy quotes entitled 1001 Windmills of the Mind, a collection of advanced self-help quotes taken from what's often called the psychodynamic or the psychoanalytic perspective, which long ago, as I understand it, was referred to by some as philosophical medicine or narrative medicine. Helping one, perhaps, maybe, as this song here, entitled Constant Tourist by the band Lunik. Perhaps these quotes, this perspective, these 10,000 quotes that we have now here, 62 topics under this general umbrella of the psychoanalytic perspective, which simply means you accept or consider the premise that the past influences us in our life, that there's a working model that we create, some kind of intrapsychic structure, endopsychic structure based on the memories, and this template or schema influences us in life. If you consider that premise, that's considered analytic or psychodynamic. How we see today through the lens of yesterday, or how we use like a map from yesterday in the future, but that map was for the past, doesn't apply. This kind of idea of how the past influences the present. If there's too much pain in the past, we recreate the problem that created the past in the present, hoping for better past, repetition compulsion. So anyways, so these 10,000 quotes are perhaps helping us to move towards no longer feeling like the song says, like a constant tourist to ourselves. That's not a bad little summary statement of the idea that we might feel like a constant tourist to ourselves, not connected with ourselves, not feeling that home within feeling like alienated from ourselves, like our beingness flew away. So in Miss and Fairy Tale, this is when the princess turns into a swan and flies away. Snow White is in a coma in a box. Rapunzel's locked in a tower. Miss Echo turns to stone, becomes a statue. Yeah, Iron John, the golden ball, locked in a cage. Okay, Joy and Sadness in a Disney film inside out gets zooped away. That's like the feeling side of the beingness. So the beingness and the feelings are kind of like unavailable to us. This takes place, imaginally speaking, when there's babyhood trauma. Okay, i.e., the baby's betrayed by the mother. Why would a mother betray her baby? Unknowingly, she doesn't remember that she had been betrayed, so she'll allow herself to betray her own baby, because when there's trauma, we repeat. So that mother doesn't remember that she was betrayed. So one form this betrayal can take is that if the cord and the placenta are removed, okay, that's the bridge to the mother. Okay, so if the baby comes out and there's no bridge to the bridge to the mother's gone. Where's mother? You betrayed me. Where are you? You abandoned me. Okay, what does he do with his aliveness, with his beingness? Okay, it freezes up. Okay, one metaphor is the pin goes in a collar. Okay, so under the collar it's considered kind of flat. The jargon is flat affect. Alexithymia, no words for your feelings, because alexithymia, no feelings for your words. Athimoalexia, okay, that's the original one. Athimoalexia, no feelings for your words. Okay, so the pin goes in a collar, you don't feel fully real and alive, it's kind of flat. Yes, you feel visceral sensations. Yes, you feel physiological stress and anxiety, adrenaline, cortisol. You feel pain, of course, but you don't have the beingness of the golden ball, the pleasant feelings of the blue jay. Okay, the golden ball, the radiance, the warmth of the beingness quality, the sweet and inexhaustible fullness of being. Okay, joy runs the console. Sadness can be there when there are losses. And look at that. If there's no beingness, you can't mourn your losses. That leads to complicated grief, aggravated grief, the derailment of the grief process, pathological nostalgia, melancholy, and the pain of all this. Then you're always going to engage in what's called manic behavior, some kind of manic externalized living, because you now have what Karen Horney calls a positive inner experiences. So as a defense against the pain of losing your beingness, the mercy is, Emily Dickinson says, you go in a swoon, the trance, the endorphins, the numbing thing. But under this numbing thing, you can't step in it, because go to Inside Out 2, the film of the year for 2024, Inside Out 2. Okay, you see the sarcasm scene. This chasm in the earth. You see those little characters there being very sarcastic, associated with the chasm image. So that's a huge emptiness like that. We're supposed to like come from that place, but it's gone. It's gone. Okay, Emily Dickinson again. There's a pain so utter, swallow sup and sup, goes to the chasm like that. Okay, there's a pain so utter, swallows sup and sup. This core in the Greek myth, Earth opens up, she gets pulled out into the underworld. Earth opens up, she gets pulled down, and she's lost deep in the limbic system. The memory of our beingness, the memory of our potential, the memory of who we were meant to be had we been loved, the process of becoming who we're meant to be, the gifts and the treasures of our beingness. That's all kind of missing like that. So there's a chasm like that. That's a pain like that to not have your beingness. Now this takes place when the baby thought he was a goner. Yeah, the baby thought he was a goner when this took place. So now he's got an imprint that it's all about survival. Okay, he thought he was a goner. If the baby doesn't get his needs met, he thinks he's a goner. He sees the mother's a monster. Okay, thinks to himself, geez, it's survival like this. So later on, if people have jungle slogans, survival slogans, adversarial slogans, either or thinking, oppositional thinking, that's code for this trauma, that the baby didn't feel safe with the mother, and he's still fighting for his life with the mother, and he's still in that kind of mode because that part of the brain doesn't know time. It doesn't know time. So when the beingness flies away, okay, that's our home within kind of thing. If our home within flies away, we feel like a constant tourist to ourselves. Okay, we feel estranged from ourselves, alienated from ourselves. That's a pain like that. Hence the name of the song, "Constant Tourist."
Look, but don't touch. Taste, but don't swallow. My heart has been your playground. You never ask, you never apologize. I was standing upside powerless, but watching you fade away. You've always been out of reach. By your side, I always felt stuck in a waiting room. Didn't ever catch the train.
Yeah, so the baby couldn't catch the train to Loverland. Um, right, so the baby didn't have a secure attachment with the mother. Loverland, the land of love with the mother. Baby was betrayed because the cord, the placenta are removed. That's one version of it. That's considered a birth trauma. And when that attunement is missing, when that attrainment, the train to Loverland, they call it attrainment. So the baby doesn't have that track with the mother, and she's confused with the baby's signals. Baby's upset. Mother, where are you? And baby's crying. Mother doesn't understand the signals. There's misattunement, malattunement like that. And she might be frustrated. The baby picks up this frustration and interprets it as a rejection. The baby feels rejected like this. He feels he's defective. That's called shame. Now he's living in hell, metaphorically speaking, because the emotion of shame is a burning, biting feeling. So they say the baby's in hell. And then the mother's a monster, a sea monster, a boar queen, a cyclops, and so on. And then post the birth trauma of losing the mother, he froze up. Now he's going to try to relate to the mother, but she's misattuned. She can't reestablish the oneness, the attunement, the synchronicity. I mean, the flow between the two, the rhythm of safety, the flow called attunement and attrainment. It's broken. It's too late. If the baby's too traumatized, he froze up too much. And he tries to connect with them. He's afraid to trust his mother. Mother, you betrayed me. I'm afraid of you. You're a monster alien now. You're a stranger. I don't trust you. So he'll maintain this frozenness within, so to speak, and he'll try to relate to the mother in some kind of. He's got to find some way to relate to the mother. That's called a trauma bond, a traumatic attachment. An instinct that's called attachment trauma. So he's got birth trauma and then attachment trauma. Now, attachment trauma is also known as relational trauma, interpersonal trauma, etc., like that. So you got these two kind of traumas: the birth trauma, the shock of the birth, losing his mother, and then this relational dynamic of again and again, mother's misattuned, mother's malattuned. Some mothers have unfinished business with their mother, so they're struggling with their mother in the past. So what they might do is the mother's trying to remember that she was traumatized by her mother, so she shames her own baby in an attempt that she had been shamed by her mother, because that mother forgot that she had been shamed. So when there's trauma, we don't remember, so we repeat. So the baby has a mother. The mother has a oh boy, the mother has a baby and says to herself, well, unconsciously, I don't remember that my mother shamed me. Let me shame my baby in an attempt for me to remember that my mother shamed me. So this baby, of course, is not being seen if the mother feels a compulsion to shame her own baby because she forgot that she had been shamed by her mother. Again, once there's trauma, we repeat in an attempt to remember. If the mother could remember that she'd been shamed, if that mother could remember that her mother failed her, then she wouldn't shame her baby. But she doesn't remember, so she repeats in an attempt to remember. Or sometimes the mother has this immense sense of entitlement. Baby, my mother didn't take care of me. You take care of me. Still recording here? Okay. I don't really see myself. It's because of the sun and the glare. I don't really see myself. It's all this. I can barely make out my outline here. I'm trying this out in the park, as you can see. So this is an experiment. It's dropped a little bit with the heat. This is an experiment. See if I can hold out here in the heat here. Look at this. A slight breeze. Let's see how it goes. It's kind of nice doing it outside. Yeah. My first time to do it outside with my new budget phone. I'm using this old big clunker phone, My regular one finally went put on me. This was my regular phone for the past several years. 3 continents, 1,200 videos, over 10,000 quotes posted thanks to this little phone. Some people call it a kid's phone. Just a very basic, simple phone. Tiny little mini phone, fits in your pocket, light as a feather, very thin, very, very light, extremely light. It fits in your pocket easily. You can drop it 100 times. It suffered the elements. It's a great little phone, but the problem is they don't make them anymore. The Honor, can we get it in there? The Honor 8S, everything's upside down. The Honor 8S, they don't make these anymore. What a great phone! I really missed the phone. So finally, sure enough, it went out on me. But if I plug in the battery here, and if I plug in an external speaker, I might still use this as a music player. So we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, I bought this clunker that I'm holding in my other hand. It's almost 3 times as heavy. It's a brick. 20% taller, 20% wider, I think, and maybe 2 to 3 times thicker as well. So it's an awkward phone. It has the strange feature of muffling the audio. It doesn't have a good audio function. Now, ironically, there is a benefit of the audio function is that it blots out background noises. I could actually do this in the mall. I could theoretically do this in the shopping mall. You'd hear some noises, but it'd be mainly muted, but you could still hear it. So I could actually do this in the mall. It blots out background noises. Like if there's a conversation near me, you won't hear it. Like there's people near me, I can hear them, but you won't hear it. I won't hear on the playback kind of thing. Just my luck, the kids I guess classes out, and there's a flood of middle school, high school kids running around. So we'll see how it goes here. They're very, very well mannered. I'm in a busy tourist city park here. This is still unfortunately, where I live, there aren't many parks. I got to take the SkyTrain to come to the downtown to find the downtown city park. Can you believe? But okay, enough about logistics here. Let's get back on track here. I'm gonna take a few little mini breaks to wipe off the perspiration. So why don't I take one now here? Hold on, give me a minute here to. Just give me a minute here. Can I play the music? All right. Oh, it's a little awkward when people are kind of looking at you a little bit. Now, hopefully I'll just try to ignore it. Okay, let's keep going here. Um, maybe I'll minimize playing music this time around. A little awkward to fiddle with the flimsy dollar speaker that keeps conking out on me. The battery and the wires, the connection is not okay. Now, okay, let's go back to the good start I thought we had at the beginning here. Let's pick up on that pretty good solid start I thought we had. So we ran off fairly well. I had a bit of a sprint and I kind of went to the side there. So let's get back into some kind of sprint here and catch up here. I'm behind here. So that's the theory that we feel alienated from ourselves, that our beingness, that feeling real and alive within, that hum. That's why we love. I think most people love watching animals and cats and dogs and birds because they're embodied. They became what they're meant to be. They're embodied. So there's an uncanny feeling. Gee, I wish I could be embodied. That's called golden projection. You don't know that you could be embodied. You had it, you lost it, you see it. Oh, that's great. I wish I could have it back again. So we kind of love to see horses and dogs and birds, anything really that's embodied like that. It's called golden projection. Something about you that's positive that you don't remember, you find yourself admiring it outside like that. That's one guy calls it a golden projection. Another guy calls it, well, you're using them as a psychic safety deposit box to see something positive about you onto what fill in the blank onto the cat, let's say, and then Robert Bly says you go to the cat and say, all right, cat. I gave you my embodiment. I gave you my beingness. I gave you my feeling of embodied like that. I want it back. Give it back to me. I gave it to you. Give it back to me. The cat says meow. I don't know what you're talking about. But the exercise is to make you conscious that you have these positive traits. If you say to the cat or whatever that you always thought very highly of them because they possess the thing about you that's positive that you forgot and don't know, and now you know. Now you say, "Well, I want it back." That's like affirming to yourself that you're willing to accept the positive trait about the other. Now you do it with negative traits as well, not just positive traits. If you have a very strong negative attitude towards somebody, the same thing. You in your fantasy, you say to that person, "Hey, I said this bad thing about you. That's me. That's my projection. That's my soul. That's my beingness. I want it back. Give it back to me." He'll say, "Fine. Yeah, okay, no problem. It's yours. You can have it back," kind of thing. That's one of Robert Bly's exercise as told in his little book called the Shadow, the Human Shadow book. He's famous for the metaphor about the bag. He says, um, by the age of 5, so much of who we're meant to be, our beingness, our golden ball, who we be, had we been loved, even knowledge of the trauma, knowledge of our defense mechanisms that we adopted to cope with the trauma, get knowledge of the style, memory of the dynamic that took place between the baby and the mother, and how we cope with that, and our beliefs around it, and our existential conclusions around it, knowledge, and then knowledge of our capacities that are meant to be there if we're loved. Like so much of our authentic self, our true self, our real self, and the gifts of the real self, and the ability, in some cases, even the ability for gratitude is going to be lost. So it all goes into this bag. We drag this bag behind us the rest of our lives. So we put so much in this bag, we drag the bag, and then by the age of 5, we put so much of ourselves into this bag, we drag the bag, and then we spend the rest of our lives trying to reclaim and re-find and re-own. Look in the bag. That's called shadow, dark, can't see it. So the bag means like it's behind you, dark, you don't see it. Shadow, dark, unknown, repressed. Something about you don't know, dark, you don't see. So it's shadow, dark, like that, called shadow work. So you spend the rest of your life looking in the bag, what's unknown about you, and reclaim it, bring it to the light of consciousness. Now, sometimes in fairy tales and myths, the bag, this unknown could be like a forest, it could be like the ocean. If it's the ocean version, then the fish. You bring up the fish and bring it to consciousness, and sometimes you eat the fish. You need a boat, you need a consciousness. Okay, another metaphor is the duck. You gotta embrace the spirit of the duck. The duck can walk on land, yes, but it can also swim in the water and fly in the air. Okay, in the fairy tale Rapunzel, one version of the Rapunzel stories, the protagonist had to hop over the fence into this dark, scary witch's garden. And in the soil were these rampions called radishes, in German called Rapunzels. Rapunzel means in the dark, unknown. So metaphor, something about you. It's in this unconscious, dangerous world with the witches. The witch just means your rage at your mother. The witch just means your unmet needs and your rage at the mother. You got to face that kind of painful truth that you were enraged and mother didn't meet your needs, and you got this hunger unmet and frozen, and you were enraged. And then you got an image of the witch like that. So you go to the unconscious. Okay, you go to the witch's garden. You need a lantern. That's what these quotes are for, to give you night vision. You need night vision to do this work. You need some night vision. These quotes are giving you night vision. They're like a lantern. Jeanette Paris calls these quotes like a lantern. So you with the lantern, you consider what you don't know about yourself. Okay, that's like owning your projections. You're admitting something that you denied before. Now you're bringing it up to consciousness. So the image is that you pull up the rampion, bring it over the fence to the regular house, and then she ate the radishes, and she felt better, kind of thing. So you unconscious to conscious. So under the ground is like this. If it's the water, that's like the duck, and you bring it up to the air of consciousness, and then you make the unconscious. In other words, you make the unconscious conscious. Something you didn't know about yourself, want to make it conscious and accept it, assimilate it, psychosynthesize, reclaim, make it part of you again. That's when she eats the fish, or when you eat the radish like that. That's just a metaphor that you're accepting and you're claiming. It was yours, you lost it, want to get it back. That kind of thing. And it can be, these are bit by bit things you do gradually, and every morning you interpret your dream, you free associate, make inferences, just question. Um, Actually, a new one here is very simple. One self-help author has a very simple self-help exercise. It sounds very simple, but hang with it here. She says, ask yourself, what mistakes do you make over and over again? Okay, I know it sounds kind of simple, but I thought this was not bad. Just simply ask yourself, what mistakes do I make over and over again? And that might bring something unconscious conscious to you. Okay, I have no idea how you're seeing me on the playback. It's just all, it's like it's all in the shadow here, all in the shade here. Oh, I got these kids checking me out here. Kids were having fun before I started the video. Some kids ran up to me and startled me and laughed when I was surprised. I don't know, just being playful like that. Cute kids. They weren't threatening. They were just trying to be playful. They must sense the childlike side of me, maybe. He looks like one of us. He's a kid. We can play. Let's invite him to play with us. He's 8. I don't know, running around little kids. Oh, hang on. Oh, there's a dragonfly. Oh, we missed it. Oh, there's a little dragonfly that just passed by. Well, that's the second time. That's the second time in 4 years I've seen a dragonfly in the videos, during the videos. You'll see some pigeons, lots of pigeons. If I remember, I'll tell you our pigeon joke. We have one pigeon joke in our collection from our humor quote, um, from our set of quotes on the topic of humor, humor on the couch. We have a pigeon joke in there. Uh, it's pretty good, and it's one of the best jokes in our collection on the humor topic. So once again, we have 62 topics, one of them being humor. Um, okay, so yeah, so back to Rapunzel for a second. Like you see in the film. Oh boy, in the German film, 1988 German rendition of the film entitled, oh boy, what's it called again? Uh, the Wisdom of Tears or something. I forgot the name of the title. I forgot the film's title. The Power of Tears, The Wisdom of Tears. I forgot what it was. Jeepers Christ. Anyways, it's a German film. It's a German rendition of Rapunzel. It's very, very kind of basic kind of film, but it's still pretty good. Not too much dialogue, but it has a certain mood to it. It's kind of it's pretty clear. In the beginning, you see the castle, right? That's your consciousness, what you're aware of, your present, your but the castle, okay, was empty, okay, because the soul Rapunzel was locked in the tower in the unconscious. So because the castle was empty, there were problems, there were guilt, debt. Sometimes they say the crops don't grow food, or there's too much problems. Um, no one can have children, no fertility. Like there's problems, and they've got problems. What's it called again? Music Man. He's got problems. Anyway, so there's problems in the regular conscious side of the person. There's something wrong with his life, in other words. So then they realize, well, that's because the beingness, okay, the golden ball in your beingness, your sense of beingness, your ontological self, your sense of self, your beingness, okay, symbolized as a princess, she's locked in a tower in the witch's garden, in the unconscious. So you got to go there and see if you can bring it back. So that's like the journey like that. So when you do finally bring back Rapunzel, and then the land is good, and they have children, and everything's okay like that. That's just a way of saying that if you don't have your beingness, um, there'll be problems like the castle has problems. And then you got to go on this journey of your soul being locked, encased, locked in a tower. Snow White's in a coma. Okay, Echo's a statue, and there's some. And as mentioned, yeah, the Maiden King, she turns into a swan and flies away, or locked in a cage, etc. In the Locked in a Cage one by back to Robert Bly, Iron John, Locked in a Cage. To get the soul, you got to get the key. Where's the key? Under mother's pillow. That's the knowledge. That's the knowledge that the mother used the baby to meet her needs. That's the secret. It's under the pillow, dark, again, shadow, dark, don't see it, unknown, get the key. And then accept that, admit that your mother used you. A famous poem, 1960 by Anne Sexton. The mother said to the daughter, I'm sorry, I didn't love you. The truth is, I made you, I had you to find me. I didn't know who I was. I didn't go through any kind of developmental process. I didn't have a mother who was there for me. I made you and I would parentify you. I brainwash you, take care of me. I made you to serve me, take care of me. You have to give me supply. You have to be there for me. And I punished you if you try to be autonomous. I did it by simply saying, come on, baby, if you don't serve me, I'm going to abandon you, baby. And you freaked out and said, okay, mother, I'll serve you and I'll reward you for that. I made you to find me, baby. Okay, that's the key. That's the secret, that she used the baby to meet her needs. And in the healing process, you kind of have to get that key. You got to get that knowledge that the mother did that, and that helps to free your beingness. Okay? So you got to call a spade a spade. A lot of mothers, uh, what happened is that they didn't get a chance to have their beingness because likewise they were traumatized and they're stuck in the fusion with their mother, and they couldn't get enough love to have their beingness. So they lost their beingness. A lot of anger, a lot of pain. That's trauma, birth trauma, relational trauma, attachment trauma. When there's trauma, we repeat, hoping to change the past. Doesn't make sense because there is time. But that part of the brain, all the energy, doesn't know time. So the mother has the baby and has this compulsion and constraint and limitation. She only has one song, only one tune. Okay, enter Edmund Berger. Edmund Berger, one of our mentors, has a metaphor. Every neurotic is a music enthusiast. I can't tell if you're. I'm hoping on the playback you can see me because I just see like an outline. I just see like a. I just see like my outline, and it's all kind of hazy and darkish like that. I'm just hoping that you'll see it in the playback, but it's more about the code, so I'm not too worried about the visual. Geez, this is a unexpected surprise. Yeah, I just took on I took a wild guess that maybe I could do a video out here today. It's ironic because it's Saturday. Can you bet that? No, you know what? Maybe you can do it today. Sometimes Saturdays, I think on Friday everybody's sleeping from their binge or whatever. I don't know. So later on it'll pick up, right? Oh, there's the dragonfly. Oh, another one. All right. Oh, they're babies. I don't know if you can see them. Just baby dragonflies. Okay. Yeah. So a lot of mothers they didn't get enough love with their mother to feel safe enough to go through the developmental process where they could have a psychological birth, i.e., maintain their beingness and live by their beingness, and have a heart-informed living, have their golden ball, which would give them empathy and morality and ethics, and feelings for themselves and the baby. The golden ball's lost. The mother lost her golden ball. That's the feelings, the primary feelings. She's got the false self and compensation. She's got the anger and entitlement and greed and envy of the pain of losing her soul. So she's bitter like that. She can't love the baby because she didn't get her needs to love the baby. So this baby comes on the scene, and the mother is impaired. She's impaired. Now a little freak. Look, cut her some slack here. She tries her best. Okay, she would have if she could, but she couldn't. So she didn't. But she tried her best. She's a member of Homo Traumacus. We're all members of Homo Traumacus. So keep that broader perspective in mind. She might have been a victim of the pillage and the plunder system that takes place. Unfortunately, it's still even today as we speak. Unbelievable. That's why we got to raise consciousness. One comedian says we need an upwising. The shrinks are here giving you an upwising. Wise up here. Look, man in the mirror. Look in the mirror. Reflect on yourself. Because if you can make the inference that you're repeating symbolically what happened in the past, hoping to change the past, that's the healing journey to make ourselves conscious of our repetition compulsions. Or another way of saying it, we create a working model that we go by, and then you see everything. You see all your days through the lens of the past. But if there's a problem in the past, that's you're distorting everything, and you're living in a painful way because in the trauma with the mother, you're still trying to save the mother. Mother, what do you want? Mother, you're hurting me. How do I save you? How do I fix you? How do I cure you? How do I heal you? How do I make you be a loving mother so you'll love me? What do I got to do, mother? Mother's angry. She's bitter. She doesn't have the ability to love. Baby's saying, mother, I got to try to fix you. I got to try to save you. But the baby can't do it. Mother's impaired. Baby can't change the mother's history of trauma, her trauma back then. Baby can't change the mother's psychic structure where she mourned the loss of her needs and she's able to love. Baby can't be a super shrink for her mother. Like baby can't even speak. Baby still needs to be fed by the mother, soothed by the mother, comforted by the mother. He's still developing like that. He can't suddenly magically fix his mother, but he's going to fail. Of course, he'll try, but he'll fail. So again, he feels guilty. He feels defective. He thinks it's his fault. Babies make this belief because they got to find some way to connect with the mother. The only way to connect with the mother is that they're guilty. Guilt and pain, mother, pain, okay, mother, love, pain. Okay, so pain is love, mother. So they accept the masochistic setup where pain is love, because the only connection to the mother is the pain. So they libidinalize this pain and think it's mother, the pleasure and displeasure phenomena, psychic masochism, emotional masochism, moral masochism, whatever you want to call it. The baby's trying to figure out some way to be attached to the mother. So he's got to accept the pain. Oh, there's mother. I received the pain, but that's mother. He's got to have a mother. So if the cost is, he's got to accept the pain, but he's got the mother. Now he's not going to know this. Now that's a lot of pain. So he can't admit this. He can't admit this quote unquote crime. Burglar calls it like a crime, metaphysical crime, by the mother and then by the baby covering up for the mother. The baby's covering up for the mother. No, mother didn't hurt me. Mother committed the crime. Baby thinks I'll cover it up, protect her. So like a major crime like that on the two. So he's got to do like what he'll do is he'll confess to a quote unquote a lesser crime. He'll look to some other thing like a rescue station and confess to that. So he'll be a drinker, a smoker, emotional eater, and he'll say, "Yeah, fine, that's the problem. I'll blame that. I'll blame these things for my problems, and that's protecting the mother." Dysfunction means protecting the mother. Okay, dysfunctional living, neurotic living, self-defeating behavior, self-sabotaging behavior, any kind of thing in its direct form or in its flipped form, reaction formation form, any kind of form of that. Okay, that's all protecting the mother. That's all protecting the mother. And yeah, in yesterday's video, I think we posted a very important quote by Robert Hirsch from long ago. Um, he has an interesting theory, um, interesting way of saying it. Um, let's say you see somebody doing something harmful to themselves, like smoking or drinking or whatever. Okay, that's an image of how he saw himself through his mother's eyes. When he's hurting himself, that's how he saw himself in relation to how he saw himself through his mother's eyes. When the baby didn't meet the mother's needs. When the baby didn't meet the mother's needs, she was enraged, bitter, rejected. I don't want you, baby. I'm angry at you. So that pain, he creates the pain. That's the connection to the mother. So that's one way of saying how dysfunction means loyalty to the mother. Okay, baby doesn't meet the baby's needs, mother's angry. Baby looks at the mother's eyes, okay, there's rejection, shame. I hate you, baby, mother says. You didn't meet my needs. You didn't save me. Or the mother is deluded. She thinks the baby's her mother who hurt her. I hate you, mother, baby, mother. See, the mother only sees the past. Yes, materially, she understands the present, the baby's her baby, but her psychology, her emotions, her unmet needs, her real under issue in terms of psychic, emotional needs and unmet needs, that's still in the past. So if the mother has a battle with her mother, she transfers that battle that's unresolved, it's unfinished, so that's all she sees. The present is still the past. So she transfers the frustrating mother onto the baby, thinks the baby is her mother back then. She's angry at her mother, so she's angry at the baby, thinks the baby is her mother. Okay, so the baby in the meantime sees mother's hate and thinks now the baby's going to see himself the way she looked at him, okay, following how the baby couldn't save her. Now the baby felt this pain by the mother, this hate by the mother. So in repetition compulsion, you recreate that pain, you recreate that hurt. And that this can be done in any dysfunctional way of living, drinking, smoking, so on. So that's recreating in the repetition compulsion the self-inflicted pain of the pain you saw when mother hated you, and you understand yourself by how she saw you when you looked into her eyes. So that's an interesting way. He had a very graphic example. I don't want to quote his example. I didn't do it in yesterday's video, but if you see, yeah, okay, once in a while you might see like a, it's hard. Well, let's just, maybe the common example is the drinking one, right? So the person's drinking, he's hurting his lungs or his organs, right? Or the smoking, he's hurting his lungs. So he's hurting himself, right? So that's the pain. Okay, that's the repetition compulsion and the reenactment of the pain. Okay, he felt when he saw himself through his mother's eyes when the baby couldn't meet her needs, and he's looping it around like that in a timeless, infinite loop like Sisyphus. Okay, not Sisyphus, just an infinite loop in the timeless brain. So dysfunctional behavior is loyalty to the mother, the connection to the mother, still trying to save the mother. It's the bond to the mother, the trauma bond to the mother. And in growing up, you got to leave that. You got to leave that psychic house. You got to leave that psychic house. Enter Gabe's story. Okay, so now we enter the Twilight Zone. There are there's numerous episodes that are helpful in this area. But just as a starting point, I would start off with the teaser, Nick of Time. The episode entitled Nick of Time, the original Twilight Zone, the original series with Rod Serling, season 2, episode 7, I think, Nick of Time, about the guy and the Mystic Seer toy on the diner there. That helped. Listen to what the wife says to him. The wife is kind of like the shrink. Um, so I covered that in detail in recent videos, so I won't redo it again here. But that was sort of about leaving that psychic house, leaving mother. He was married to mom. He was married to mom. He was clutching to mom. And the wife said, "Look, you got a mind. You got a potential. You're gonna waste it trying to justify your mother's treatment to you like that. So you're gonna save her and be loyal to her." Yeah, that kind of thing. Okay, then now following Nick of Time, go over to Gabe's story in one of the reboots of the Twilight Zone. Gabe's story. You get a more detailed, more specific uh, um, clarification of how we leave the psychic house. How do we leave this template? How do we leave um, this trauma bond of the mind of the mother? Okay, then go to the closing narration of an episode entitled "One Life Furnished in Poverty." Listen to the closing narration of the Twilight Zone episode entitled "One Life, comma, Furnished in Poverty." He means like emotional poverty. It's a time travel thing. He went to the past, okay, and he saw how he decided things. So he's the master of his fate, they said. Um, and in the present, then you say to yourself, "Gee, isn't it bittersweet?" The narration was, "Isn't it bittersweet that you're still trying to save your mother? But she's long gone. This is from another era, another time, decades ago in the nursery. You're not there anymore. She can't hurt you. And isn't it bittersweet that you're still trying to save her? Decades later, you're loyal to the memory of the voices if she hurt you and you're still trying to save her. Isn't it bittersweet?" So, like, come on, like, let's say, how do you get out of this? So let's say you called your parents if they're alive. They're not going to tell you. They'll gaslight you and blame you and use guilt trips. They'll be insulted that you're not grateful to what they did for you. They won't admit the pain they inflicted. That's not going to work. Okay, let's say they're not there. So let's say you hop in a time machine, go back to the past, and you see it yourself more directly. Maybe then it's more clear. That's what the episode is, the time travel one. And then he sees it more clearly. He says, "Oh my God, I decided these things. I decided these things in my childhood time. That means since I decided, then really I'm the master of my fate here. So if I can embrace this concept, you see that this great truth," they said, then that can lead to the release of the dead cargo, this weight, this useless burden. It's a useless burden to now, decades later, still try to save your mother when she's 6 feet under. What are you doing that for? You couldn't do it as a baby. You can't do it if she's 6 feet under. What are you doing it for? This is a burden like this. That's the problem with the timelessness of that brain. That brain doesn't know time. So, uh, okay, so let's just start it off there. I would say start it off there. That's a good start. That's a good start. That's a good start. Gabe's story, um, One Life Furnished in Poverty, the closing narration, and then Nick of Time. In any order, let's say. I would say. I would say start with. I would say maybe start with Gabe's story, and then pick up the prelude one, Nick of Time, and then do the closing narration one. Um, that third one, the episode is kind of boring, but I mean, it's not too encouraging. The actor was too negative or something, but it's for the closing narration, so you got to watch the third one. So I would say first watch Nick of Time and Gabe's story in either order, and then the third one, One Life Furnished in Poverty. Those three, I think, kind of give you a good visual of how do we break free and emancipate ourselves from mental slavery. Bob Marley, play Bob. Do we have Bob? Oh, I can't play it. Copyright issue. Oh, I get it. Oh, ironically, oh, I finally get it. It's Saturday. There are fewer kids here. Okay, I usually did this during the week. There was a flood of kids. I don't think I've done this on the weekends here. I just assume there's no way you can do this on the weekends. Okay, okay. So in the healing journey to get back our beingness, or look in the bag and pull it, let it fly up. Now, when the beingness flies up to you, that's called the firebird and the phoenix. So the phoenix um, is in the bag actually. You know, um, it's related to the return of your beingness coming to you, the phoenix, right? Or the red bird rises, or the firebird rises. So now we don't control that kind of thing. Okay, okay. The next Twilight Zone episode. Um, is Saturday, something called Saturday, a play on Saturday. So he discussed the healing journey in 7 parts, and those 7 parts are named after the days of the week. Moan Day. Oh, sorry, no, sorry. It begins with Sunday. Okay, someday, someday. Okay, let's play Pavlov's dog theme from Subway Soon. Someday soon. Okay, someday, moan day, Tuesday, wound day, thorn day, free day, shatter day. So 7 steps like that. So yeah, so those are the four. Those are the four. That's about the double motif. They show you sort of the conclusion. They show you Friday and Saturday. They don't show you the hard work leading up to it. They show you sort of the conclusion. But so in the healing journey, um, to get to Saturday, where the false self dissolves away, and you can maintain your free day, your beingness back to you. You're free when you get your beingness back. Now you're free. Now you're liberated. Now you're emancipated yourself from that psychic house of the trauma memories, the trauma circuits, the trauma imprints, this quote unquote style. Going to be polite about it. Some people are hyper polite about it. Well, it's just a style. Mother traumatized you, and then you always see yourself and others in those terms, and you live like that. Well, that's just your style. Oh, come on. That's being a little bit too. You're whitewashing it a bit too much like that. I think it's a traumatic script. It's a painful. It's a painful template. No, it's just a style. Well, how do you heal if you just say it like that? You gotta call a spade a spade. No, mother hurt the baby. Mother failed the baby. Didn't meet the baby's needs. Why didn't the mother love the baby? Okay, my mother didn't love me? What are you talking about? Of course my mother loved me. Well, from the baby's point of view, from the baby's perspective, if you can think about it from the baby's perspective, was he loved when the mother abused him? I mean, i.e., didn't meet his needs, and she saw her as a monster, and the baby's fighting with the monster? Okay, no, once again, we're not saying the mother's a monster. We're saying the baby creates an imago in his brain, okay, based on how he felt with the mother. And he thinks that imago is the mother image, the mother imago image. So if he, from his perspective, his mother's a monster is trying to eat him, gobble him up, okay, like the Boar Queen or the Cyclops, etc. He's not loved. How can you say he's loved? How can you say he was loved? So midlife, you call a spade a spade. Oh my God, my mother didn't love me. Holy, holy, you know what? Like wow, but the truth will upset you free. The truth will upset you free, says Steve Behrman, the comedian Steve Behrman. That's a very good update. The truth will set you free. Well, no, the truth will upset you free. You gotta get the painful part of it all. The painful part of it all. Mother didn't. Why didn't my mother love me? See? So you gotta call a spade a spade. You won't heal if you can't call a spade a spade. Now, to get to that place where you know that your mother didn't love you, you gotta honor your parents. Honor your parents. Get the truth, the psychological truth. Get their story. Get their story. Okay, learn about their birth order. Learn about their which person are they a stinger or a clinger. Okay, did the mother make the crossover and make the Faustian bargain, the Faustian deal called identification with the aggressor? Did she do that crossover because she was in so much pain? Get your parents a story. Find out their earliest memories. Find out about their humor, maybe. Uh, Try to get their story, and that'll lead you to knowing the truth that she was impaired, therefore she couldn't love you. There's a mourning like that. You got to mourn the loving mother that should have been there. You got to mourn all that time in pain that you lived, all that missed opportunity to be who you were meant to be. And we had a quote from this a wealthy lawyer guy. Um, he had it all, but he was miserable, and he said he gave it up, kind of thing. And his conclusion was, now I'm becoming who I was meant to be. Now I'm becoming who I was meant to be. So he did the midlife audit, the midlife examination. He called it a survey of your life. Same idea. You got to go on this hero's journey, the second journey, adult development, where you face the truth, where you try to now know what you couldn't back then, so then you can feel what you couldn't have felt back then. So first, you got to cognitively build your ego. That's what Robby means when Noah builds the ark. Okay, the ark, the boat, it's above the water. The water is the unconscious. Okay, you got to build the ark in three phases of E. If it's called the Jane mind, you got to build the Jane mind. The Jane mind. Okay, a conscious ego, an adult ego, a conscious, healthy ego that embraces the opposites, that holds the two sides of the coin, that's three-dimensional and vertical thinking, and you see things more deeply, more broadly, more realistically like that. If you engage in either or thinking, no, then you're either Eve White or Eve Black in that story. And the poor daughter said, no, mother, I don't like it when you're Eve White because you're too depressed. I don't like it when you're Eve Black, you're too dangerous. I like it when you're Jane. Mother, could you please be Jane? You're fun, you're playful, you're reasonable, you're kind, you're decent, you're really present for me, and I can know myself because I feel safe with your presence. Mother, could you please be Jane? Jane, could you please be Jane? So Jane was, okay, in the film, she went to therapy and developed the Jane mind. The Jane mind is the synthesis, the psychosynthesis of the either or to both and. When you get the both and, that's the Jane, that's the boat on the water, you're in the present, not sunk in the unconscious. You got a conscious. When you get the conscious in the present, the Eve White and Eve Black, poof, they disappeared, or they psychosynthesized, dissolved, and it filtered into the Jane mind. So the Eve White and Eve Black weren't there, and the woman was Jane. Now she could be Jane. So she got the daughter back. She found a new love, and they rode off into the sunset. So you got to get the Jane mind, the third side of the coin. This either or thinking, like Eve White, Eve Black, this either or stuff, that means that precludes healing, that precludes differentiation, that precludes love and mourning, that precludes, prevents having your beingness, because you're repeating. You're loyal to the mother who traumatized you. If you maintain adversarial thinking, jungle slogan thinking, you're loyal to the mother. You got a huge mother complex, okay? An over traumatic attachment with the mother. If you got these painful jungle slogans, either or, because you're in survival like that. So in the three phases of Eve film, now unfortunately we don't see the process of those 3 years. Um, all you see is a shrink puffing on a cigar, i.e. he's Mr. Freud. So it's kind of a little ridiculous they did that, but they want to make it clear he's Mr. Freud with the cigar and all that. So they were just trying to give you the image that she went into psychoanalysis and developed the Jane mind. And when she got the Jane mind, Eve Black and Eve White poofed away. That's repeating the past trauma. Okay, enter Alan Golem's theory. She refers to those constructs, Eve White, Eve Black, as frozen child, freezing parent. Okay, so the child is a frozen child inside. If he makes the Faustian bargain, that's the freezing parent. Some children don't cross over; they maintain the frozen childhood. They're the pleasers and the clingers and the caretakers, nice, trusting, innocent, foolish, like that. They're still childlike, but they didn't cross over. They don't hurt others. Okay, but sometimes the pain's too traumatic. They disavow the frozen child one, say others can have it, make the Faustian deal, the Faustian bargain, the Faustian pact, where they identify with the mother who hurt them. Now they become the freezing parent. So you observe in her book called Unloved Again by Alan Golem, self-published book, go to iUniverse, $3.99, well worth the PDF file. excellent resource by Miss Alan Golem, 2016 book, I think, or something like that. It's a sequel to her famous book called Narcissism Trapped in the Mirror. She updated it and added to it called Unloved Again. Very good book called Unloved Again. So she emphasizes the frozen child freezing parent construct. So it's a helpful way to think about it. So you identify yourself. Gee, am I going to be like you notice yourself in the present? Am I in the frozen child one? Always feeling guilt, like anxiety and inside out too. I'm guilty. I'm no good. I gotta save. How can I do here? I'm always wrong. I'm always my fault. Gee, what's wrong with me? That kind of stuff. That's the frozen child one. Yep. Or are you in the freezing parent one? You're very critical. You're a harsh critic on everybody, yourself and everybody, and your cynical humor, dark humor, cynical attitudes, and shatterfoot attitude. That's the freezing parent. Okay, that's trauma in the past. Okay. So you want to put a wedge between those two, okay, and build the arc or the adult mind, and that synthesizes the previous two up, and then you get a new one. That's the adult mind. When you get the conscious adult mind ego, okay, then the frozen child freezing parent constructs kind of um, they don't influence you. They're minimal, and they're not your energies for the present, because now you got your beingness when you can hold the two sides of the coin. So we recently talked about the three faces of Eve. We talked about one of the Star Trek episodes. We talked about the Forbidden Planet film, the science fiction film called Forbidden Planet 56. Excellent film. Actually, in today's video, I'll run through some of the quotes from the Forbidden Planet, which we discussed before. Um, actually, because I've discussed the Forbidden Planet a fair bit already, I want to focus mainly on doing a preview for two upcoming quotes. Um, I want to preview 29, 57, and 58. I want to just for myself do a bit of a preview of it. It's mainly about self-defeating behavior, and also about and a continuation of the self and repetition compulsion, those two. So we talked recently about self-defeating behavior by Baumeister and Berggas or something. Their theory about self-defeating behavior, a thing called thyroid revenge. Um, so they talk about one form. So self-defeating behavior, self-sabotaging behavior. It's still this battle with the parent, right? So some kids. So one example was the father totally ignored the son, but the father was only cared about whether or not the son got the degree. The son hated this idea, so he flunked school. He didn't get the degree, but he got his father upset. Now he got his father's attention. So he got back at the father, made him angry. So he got back at the father. You value my degree more than me. I'm going to sabotage this degree, okay, to upset you. So that's a psychological victory for him, but at a huge cost. Now he has no degree. So that's called thyroid. It was a maliciously intentional thing. It wasn't accidental. It wasn't unconscious. He deliberately said, I'm going to fail this school to get him very angry because he only cares about the degree. He ignores me. I want him to pay attention to me. I want to be more important to him than this piece of paper here. So he deliberately sabotaged his chance to have a good degree to get his father angry. And the father shouted at him. At least he thought, oh, you noticed me. I'm important to you. I'm important enough to you for you to shout at me. Okay, I'll take that. So that's his so-called thyroid revenge. Okay, he got back. He was angry at the father. He resented the father for doing this. He sabotaged the thing that he valued. He valued the degree. He crashed that, even though at the cost to him, at a huge cost to him, he has no degree. But he wanted to make the father upset. And his anger like that he ignored him, now he paid attention to him. That kind of dynamic. And we have other, and there are several other examples of the thyroid revenge dynamic discussed recently. So back to the general umbrella construct of self-defeating behavior. I want to pick up a little bit on that in this preview of 2957 and 8. So there's several terms for self-defeating behavior, self-sabotaging behavior, emotional masochism, moral masochism, psychic masochism. This whole thing about being afraid to be yourself because you're gonna be disloyal to your mother. That's the memory that she's gonna punish you. So how do you break free from this curse, this template, this burned in memories like that? So back to Gabe's story and the other Twilight Zone episodes. Maybe I'll just let me just take a 2-minute break here. Let me bring up the speaker here. I'll lower the volume on the song because there's people just beside me here. Fast forward this 3 minutes. Um, let me just, I've got juice in my bag. Let me get some juice. Let's pick a song here. Let's see. Just finish up with Constant. Okay, let's just play Constant Tourist. We didn't finish it, right? No. Oh, here we go.
Forehead it says, look but don't touch, taste but don't swallow. My heart has been your playground. You never ask, you never apologize. I was standing outside powerless, watching you fade away. You've always been out of reach. By your side I always felt stuck in a waiting room. Didn't ever catch the train of another land. I was running without leaving. I canceled your rest, I had been in your world. You're my deepest cut. The wound doesn't bleed anymore, now the scar hurts. Oh, I was standing outside powerless, watching you fade away. You've always been out of reach. By your side I always felt stuck in a waiting room. Didn't ever catch the train around the land. I was running without leaving. I canceled the rest, I had been in your world. They wonder why it was to make me stay so long. Oh, well I really just like you. I always put you first, well you did too. I canceled the rest, I had been in your world. By your side I always felt stuck in a waiting room. They never catch the train of love land. I was running, running, running without leaving. A constant tourist I have been in your world. By your side, always felt stuck in a rhythm. Did never catch the train another night. I was running, running, running away and leaving. Cause the tourist I have been in your world. Cause the tourist I have been.
The train never got on the right train to Loverland. When you get on the wrong train, when you get on the wrong train, every stop you make is a mistake. So if the baby didn't get on the train to Loverland, i.e., have a blissful oneness with the mother, a symbiotic oneness, a fusional oneness, a merging oneness, this Garden of Eden, Shambhala, Shangri-La, Nirvana, paradisical condition. If the baby didn't have that line with the mother like that, this fusional oneness like that, that train to Loverland, the rhythm of safety with the mother, okay, then if that's then later on, every stop you make is going to be the wrong one. As one novelist put it, as a novelist has put it, when you get on the wrong train, every stop you make is the wrong one. We are prisoners of our childhood, reacting to realities that no longer exist, or more accurately, recreating old realities over and over again. Okay, so you're going to recreate the old reality that the baby had a great hope to go to Loverland with the mother. It fell. You heard no noise, the wreckage was within, O cunning tale that let no witness him. So the baby had a hope to attach to the mother, that she'd be there. Betrayal, crashed. Okay, the soul turned to stone. The wreckage was within. It doesn't know it. That's a trauma. He's in a swoon, in a trance. He'll live in a trance, hypnotic trance. In the trance, there'll be a post-hypnotic induction to repeat, 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 repeat in the trance, in the trance, in the trance, repeat, repeat, repeat. So one version of repeating this is going to the slot machine. So it's only symbolic, right? Um, when you don't get mother's needs met, when you don't get the real needs met, it leads to neurotic needs. He calls symbolic acting out called neurotic needs. Now he's got a neurotic need to find symbolic mother. So what's symbolic mother? What was mother? Well, mother was alluring, promising, rejecting. How do you recreate that? How do you recreate that again and again and again? Okay, so many ways. So he had the example of the slot machine. He went to the slot machine. It's alluring. It's promising. All these blinking lights. You might win this money. Oh, so exciting. Okay, that's how you felt as a baby, but you forgot. Okay, remember, you forgot. So you're trying to remember. You recreate to remember. So you go to the slot machine. You got this great excitement. You put your coins in. You put your hope in. Click, click, click. Oh, disappointed. Crash. Okay. Now, you're going to keep on doing this. Okay, now you add in the pigeon phenomenon. You got an intermittent reinforcement. Now you're acting like a pigeon, pecking all the time. Um, for the psychology part of it all is, you're supposed to know that your mother was cold and refusing, like that machine. We repeat to remember. So you go to the slot machine and you make the inference and say, wait a minute, this slot machine is promising. This slot machine is rejecting. Wait a minute, am I doing this as a message from me to me, telling me, my unconscious is telling me that when I was a baby, my mother was like that machine. She was cold and refusing. She was alluring and promising and then rejected me. And that was a painful feeling, and that's why I'm repeating it. It's not reasonable to lose your money, but I got to get the knowledge. I got to find out the story here. So you lose your money, but at least I'm trying to find my story. I'm going to find my story. So you go to the slot machine to find a story that your mother allured you and rejected you. It can be with anything. It could be with the wine. You didn't get the stimulating fluid with the mother. You didn't get mother's spirit, so you go to alcoholic spirits. So great hope. Jocose, very excited. Jocose. Okay, Berger calls it jocose, morose, bellicose, comatose. So the baby was excited, jocose, to get mother's spirit like that, a maternal life force, spirit, presence, feeding, maternal, emotional, psychological, spiritual, moral feeding, like beingness, like mother's acceptance, mother's attunement, mother's reveries, mother's consideration, mother's delight, mother's warmth, mother's tenderness, mother's sweetness. This got a great hope, okay? And that fell. You were sad about it, then maybe you're angry about it, and then you go to swoon, the swoon, right? So how do you repeat that? Well, you run to the beer store or wine store, or whatever. You're all excited, and you got this great hope. Okay? And for a minute, the concentrated sugar in the beer or whatever, the carbohydrates or the concentrated sugar of the grapes, or whatever, tricks the brain to send you serotonin, because by the concentrated sugar, the brain thinks you got an abundance of food. All this food, you're safe, so you get serotonin. It's not the serotonin of the safety with the mother. So you symbolically recreate and reenact to know the past. Okay, Ullman and Paul call it an addictive trigger mechanism, or an ersatz breast, an ersatz self-object. And you feel important doing it. So you feel this great hope that now you're going to control. Now you're going to grab the cigarette. It's like a magic wand, or the wine. Okay, he's going to grab the glass of wine. It's like a magic potion or something. You feel important. You control the wine. You pour the wine. You hold the glass. Got a fancy label, very expensive. You feel important or whatever. Um, Now you control the breast, so to speak. Okay? And then for a brief moment, you feel a little better with the concentrated sugar. But their added element is what you're really trying to do is um, use the chemistry of the sugar to stimulate cognitive thoughts, fantasies, to blip up old fantasies of the good old days in the uterus when you were on the throne. Okay, so all babies are on the throne like that. They feel important, like little God. So you use these um, trigger mechanisms to bring up the old fantasies. And when you bring up those old fantasies, the good old days, you feel safe and all that. You feel like a king and a god like that. Then you get the serotonin from the safety of being a little god like that, one with the mother. It doesn't work. So you recreate. So if the baby doesn't go to Loverland, that's a crash. He's going to repeat that crash. Okay, so slot machine crash. Okay, alcohol crash. The cigarette, same thing, crash, right? And so on. The food, emotional eating, comfort food eating. Okay, same thing. So they say like food and cigarettes, that's like a kind of hypnosis um, to hypnotize you, to bring up the post-hypnotic induction. Um, Well, the repetition compulsion is like you're hypnotized, like the watch. You know, the cartoons, the Bugs Bunny, you're getting sleepy, the watch going back and forth, back and forth. The repetition compulsion, you're doing it again and again and again. You're kind of in a trance now doing this. That's one thing they said. So, but they have the theory that since the breast was missing, well, identify something to fill in for the missingness. Okay, so cigarette, bottle of wine, food, whatever. That thing you're using, they call the ersatz self-object, okay, or the addictive trigger mechanism. It's to bring you to the place where you were once a time fused and one with the mother. And when the baby is one with the mother, he feels a king and a god. So you put the breast in there. It's not the breast, but you put it in there because remember, when there's something's missing, when there's a trauma, you keep looking for it. So you look for it symbolically. It's a little trick with the fantasies called pathological nostalgia. Bring up the good old days and you feel good like that. But you didn't leave that house. You're just addicted to this blipping up the old paradisical feelings. So you're addicted to the feelings you get post alcohol. You're not addicted to wine and beer. you're addicted to the fantasies. Um, they're just the vehicle to bring up the fantasies, and when you get the fantasies, your little god, and the feelings you get by that, that's what you're addicted. You're addicted to your own chemistry within, and those things are just the way to get there, kind of thing. So, okay, got some new people just sitting near me here. This is luckily, oddly enough, this little spot here is not used too much. This is like the for some reason no one goes around this little. Oh, we'll talk about the. Oh yeah, we'll talk about the pyramid here. Let's talk about the triangle. Let's talk about the triangle. The 3 points. So you want to make an interpretation. You've got a regular repetition. That's 1 point. When did it begin? And to see a now, here and now example of it. Okay, that's one version of the triangle. Okay. An interpretation includes 3 points, 3 parts. Your pattern that you're doing again and again and again. When did it begin? And then to see a live here and now example of it, and articulate those 3 and make an interpretation that links those 3. You have this pattern in your life. You learned it back then. That's why you're doing what you're doing now in the present. Just see if you can bring it to your attention. Bring it this style today. I learned it this morning. She called it a style. Oh, it's just a style. You got to be kidding. But this was back in the 30s or something. As one novelist put it, when you get on the wrong train, every stop you make is the wrong one. That's the wrong train. That's the curse. The baby didn't get on the right train. He didn't get on the track to Loverland. There was no train to Loverland for the baby. So it's the wrong track. So the woman in the song, okay, she would find men who reminded her of her mother. That's the wrong track. It feels like a constant tourist. She felt like a constant tourist with her mother. Okay, the mother was aloof and all that. Yeah, no warm connection there. Well, find somebody like that in the present. Find a man with your mother's personality. She marries her mother, so to speak, and then you re-experience it. I feel like a stranger with you, a constant tourist with you. Why is there no warm connection here? Well, that's for you to know that your mother didn't offer you a warm connection. You were betrayed by her, just like that man's betraying you. He's using you, exploiting you. She used you, exploited you. There's no connection like that. Intentional, unintentional, but the effect is, the byproduct is, you didn't get the safety with the mother, the secure attachment with the mother. And you're not going to get that with him because he's a copy of her. You chose him. You're excited by him, hoping that if you fix him, you'll get mother's connection in the past. Doesn't make sense. So you keep recreating it. We are prisoners of our childhood, reacting to. Oh, that's a tribute to Alice Miller. I just noticed that. Yeah. So John, there's a book called "Prisoners of Childhood" by Alice Miller. We are prisoners of our childhood, reacting to realities that no longer exist, or more accurately, recreating old realities over and over again. That's a pretty good line. Arthur Janoff. We've got a lot of good quotes by Janoff. I highly recommend the Janoff quotes, the main ones, 2745 to 70, done during the months of January and February of 2024 in our collection here. We did a 26 video special run on his work, 300 plus quotes of his work. I can see the band setting up there. It's usually like a high school band or something they're playing. They play some simple old songs. That must be the high school band to the school. That must be the music department of the high school nearby. You won't hear them when they start playing. You won't hear them. So interesting feature about this phone, yeah. Just 1 second. Okay, let's do this. Okay, next one here. Okay, this is just from a self-help author here. Much of what you believe is related to unconscious imprints. Okay, internal working models, imprints, schematas, traumatic scripts, endopsychic structure, styles, whatever. Okay, much of what you believe is related to unconscious imprints that often sabotage even your best efforts at success. Yeah, a good example is from Anne Teachworth. She says the child, when they grow up, they're going to choose a partner by mimicking one of their parents. So if the firstborn's a daughter, chances are when she grows up, she'll choose how her father chose. So she'll marry a man with the same personality as their mother. Although consciously she doesn't want that, her unconscious did it, right? Because that's the imprint, the template, the couple imprint. Actually, she calls it the inner couple imprint. So the child's watching his parents. As the child grows up, the child sees father and mother relating. And it's as if the child says to himself, so that's what a relationship looks like. There's two people, okay. There's a father and a mother, okay. Two people, okay. I see. So that's what relating is like. Okay. Well, who am I going to take after? Who am I going to imitate when I grow up? Who am I going to be like when I grow up? If the firstborn's a daughter, she'll choose the father. That means when this girl grows up, okay, she'll choose a man with the same personality um, of the woman her father chose, i.e., she marries her mother. She marries a man like her mother. Not about gender, right? So the daughter takes after the father in terms of admiration or whatever. Then she grows up. She doesn't choose what she wants. She's following the imprint, as above, so below. The outer is a reflection of the inner state. The inner state is the imprint. So the outer is going to show you this imprint. So the outer, she's going to create in the outer this imprint. She's stuck in the frozen, timeless, hypnotic trance. She's stuck in the past. Okay, so the present is going to be a reflection of this template, which doesn't know time. So she'll play like the father, find some fellow to play like the mother, and she recreated that template. So her relationship will be kind of like what the parents did in the past. So despite her conscious efforts, despite her reading stuff or taking workshops, whatever, okay. So unless she reads Anne Teachworth's book, Why We Pick the Mates We Did, Why We Pick the Mates We Do. So I highly recommend. This book called Why We Pick the Mates We Do by Anne Teachworth. We did a 3-video special run on that book just recently. Go to 2941 to 3. I highly recommend that batch of quotes, 2941 to 3 by Anne Teachworth. Um, okay, and if the firstborn is a son, chances are. Oh, hang on, can I do this? Okay, I just now I can see myself a little bit. I was talking in the dark here. Oh yeah, now I can see myself in a like a ghosty cut. Let's just put it back to normal. Okay, if the firstborn is a son, usually he'll mimic and choose how the mother chose. Okay, so when the son grows up, he's going to choose a wife with the same personality of his mother because he will choose how his mother chose. The mother chose a man with a certain personality. So to reflect and recreate the imprint, he steps into the mother role and finds a woman to play the father role. So he married his father. He married a woman with his father's personality. Just as a joke, we say he married his father. Not biological, not gender, nothing to do with gender. We're talking about personality. Now that's the first one. Now the second child, usually they flip it. Whatever the third one is, the fourth will be flipped. Due to genetics, she says there tends to be like a pairing like that. That part we don't know so much about. But in more broader terms, the child's going to uh, role model themselves after one of the parents, and then later on find somebody to play the role model mate. So one parent is called the role model adult, and the other parent is the role model mate. So you become the role model adult, and you find someone to play the mate model. That's the way of saying it. So so when a couple, so her solution was the 3-chair exercise. The Gestalt. Do we have it here? Oh, it's coming up. Go to 2959 for a quote on the Gestalt. I don't have it here. It's in the pipeline. Yeah. So she's a Gestalt therapist. So she does a 3-chair exercise. So if a couple goes to her and says to her, "Hey, we're not getting along with each other. Teach us how to talk to each other. Teach us couple conflict resolution skills. Teach us how to uh, solve our problems or something." She said, why not? Well, you, ma'am, I'll see you on Monday. You, sir, I'll see you on Tuesday. Okay, fine. So on Monday she comes and she says, oh, I see. So I'm going to role play with you. What are we doing here? My focus and your focus is going to be your parents in the head, your imprint, your template. You're recreating the template as above, so below. So let's fix your below, and then your outer will be better. How do we do that? Well, I'm going to get you to role play a healthy version of your parents, and we're going to use that as an imaginary new template that you're going to refer to. So tell me, Miss So and So, how do you wish your parents related to each other? She would say, oh my God, are you kidding me? I wish for once he would apologize to her. And I wish for once she would apologize for him. All right, here, you see these 2 chairs? Role play that. Do it as a drama. You play him, say you're him, be him, you role play him, apologizing, okay, identifying what he did specifically that he feels badly about, what he's going to do in the future, like, okay, and express an apology to her, and you role play her receiving it, and you role play her giving an apology at her end, and you do that. What else do you want to see? I want my parents to have some fun. They never had any fun. Okay, you role play uh, your parents having fun. Step into the father's chair and initiate some playful activity. So we did the bowling one and all this last time. Okay, and so on. And we had these series of exercises that she would role play a healthy version of her parents. Yes, it's positive fake memories. Yes, it's made up stuff, but you want some kind of new precedent in her mind, in her memory, that she can refer to at least. There should have been a positive template anyway, so it helps you to choose from the positive place. Okay, then on Tuesday, the fellow came in, same kind of thing. He would do the 2-chair exercise. He'd role play a positive father, healthy father, talking to a healthy mother, whom he would also play, and he would jump between these chairs like that, do these different scenes. And this goes on for several months like that. And sure enough, after several months, because the two were inspired by their new template, the positive templates, they then related to each other in a healthier way because they had a healthy inner. So the outer will be healthier because they both had a respective inner healthy to refer to. As above, so below, inside out. The outer is a reflection of the inner state. So she focused on fixing the inner state. So the inner state are these imprints. How do we update these imprints? How do we have a healthier, alternative, better imprint to kind of start with, kind of thing? Okay, so that's a really good book. I spent a lot of time on this couple imprint thing. And the 3-chair exercise. I actually did it myself. I was hopping between the 2 chairs. I was actually doing the exercise on camera. I, I was hopping back and forth between the chairs. Um, the guests in the hotel must have been amused by it or something. I don't know. How's this? Can I do it like this? Are we still? I can't even see if this is recording. Okay, I think it's still recording. I see the red dot blinking. Okay, next one here. So most of this fear of success and happiness, it just simply means you're not ready to let go of your mother because she burned it in that your only connection to her is if you'd be unhappy. So that's the huge fear like that. So you're still waiting. You're waiting for mother to change her ways. You're waiting for mother to love you. But for your mother to love you, first you got to please her and placate her. So you're still loyal to her like that. So you're dysfunctional and unhappy. Your unhappiness is loyalty to her. See, mother, I'm loyal to you. Aren't you happy? Doesn't make sense. When you can see your imprints as something you learned and not something and not a part of your original self, it's not your beingness is not like that. Your soul, your beingness is not like that. But if you can observe your imprints as something that you learned, we're not born guilty. We're not born feeling bad and guilty and mothers are bad like that. We're not born with any feeling of guilt and debt to the mother, but we create an imprint like that, to get along with the mother, to have a connection with the mother. Attachment theory. No baby would make it without a mother. So he makes his imprint. That's his connection to the mother. The imprint is the connection to the mother. When you can see your imprints as something you learned and not part of your original self, you will be positioned to more easily and gracefully rework these imprints. Okay, that's the 3-chair exercise, I would say. So that's a good example of the 3-chair exercise. Emotions are messages from your heart that let you know whether you are living authentically. Okay, that's called dividing the seeds. So in one task in the healing journey, okay, you got to divide the seeds, meaning put them in 2 piles. What are authentic feelings, and what are defensive feelings or sham feelings related to your unmet neurotic needs? Remember neurotic needs? Okay, that's you're symbolically searching um, for the mother, for the past unmet needs. When the real needs are unmet, then now you develop defensive needs or neurotic needs or sham needs or defensive needs to keep you away from the pain of the original trauma. You got these defensive needs. You're in defensive living. Okay, so the sensations around disappointments in your defensive way, like your neurotic pride. Okay, you know, not have somebody to shame, um, to make you unaware that you're shaming yourself in the Faustian deal, and you feel pain by that. That's not a real. Those feelings are not a real in reference to any kind of real kind of need. That's the defensive need to make you unaware that mother shamed you. That's a defensive need versus the underlying originally that you did need mother's love. So where's the real feeling around the need, the original need of needing mother's love? That feeling, that mourning based, forlorn, deep, authentic mourning feeling related to your beingness and your original needs versus the defensive stuff. Like if the bully has no one to pick on and he's upset, that's a defensive need. Okay, that's a sham feeling that he's feeling. He's not admitting the under kind of thing. So divide the seeds. Okay, divide the seeds. Another way of saying it is, are you feeling like constructively with your feeling from your authentic self feeling, or are you just blowing off steam? If it's just blowing off steam, okay, that's one seed. That's the unhelpful, unconstructive. Okay, the constructive seed is the deeper underneath that. As you understand your emotions more clearly, you will automatically understand other people better. Makes sense? So to understand others, first understand yourself. Empathy for self leads to empathy for others. That's obvious. Okay. Okay, Eric Berne. Here's a quote from Eric Berne. Mr. He's famous for another triangle, that PAC, Eric Berne, PAC. But the P is the parent, the critical parent. The C is the inner child. The A is the adult mind that's missing. So you want to build the adult mind. If you don't have the A in Eric Berne's model, if you don't have the A, the adult mind, then you're dealing with the parent. That's the freezing parent. The parent in his model means the critical parent, the rejecting parent, the abusive parent, the sadistic parent, persecuting parent. He means like that kind of parent. He doesn't mean like a positive parent. The adult would be the positive parent. So there's no. So when Eric Berne says PAC in the triangle, the P means the freezing parent construct as described by Miss Golem. And then you got the child one, that's the frozen child one. And you want to build the adult mind. And his argument is, you want 2 people have these PAC. He's got a PAC, she's got a PAC. You want a line between the A and the A, adult to adult, ideally. And you want, if somebody is the child, you want the A to the C for the 2 for each other like that. Sometimes the C, sometimes the C and the C. Sometimes they can play together, C and C. But there's a line to the A and the A. You don't want too much of the P stuff going on. Mostly A's and C's, I think. Actually, the P is the A, is the child. It's the wounded child. The P is identification with the aggressor child. The P is the abused, very abused child. Is the P. Okay, that's when the child crosses over to become the parent, the abusive parent, the active abusive parent. That's the P. So P is the abusive parent. Okay, and you become the abusive parent to yourself. That's the P one. If a relationship has like PAC, if you got like a P to the C, that's not going to work. Whoa, somebody's just abusing someone. Forget it. You want the A to the A, right? Or he says you want. He says maybe you got a bunch of lines all over the place, and it's maybe okay. At least you got a lot of options and things. I think he's got like an ideal one and a model one, not too bad one. You got to have the A there. If both are operating from P and C, it's dysfunctional and ups and downs and a lot of drama, soap opera stuff. Okay, Eric Byrne. Eric Byrne. The motivation, the motivation for the client's behavior is his need to recapture or augment if I use my, you see, you can hear me better when I use the other arm. If I hold it like this, the audio, I don't block the mic, but when I hold it the other way, it always blocks the mic a little bit. Okay, Eric Byrne, once again, Eric Byrne. Okay, the motivation. Oh, got a couple just in front of me. All right. The motivation for the client's behavior, the motivation for the client's behavior is his need to recapture or augment the gains of the original experience. Like there's some benefit there, the hope for mother's love or the connection to the mother. Hang on. The motivation for the client's behavior is his need to recapture or augment the gains of the original experience. He may seek to bring about a repetition of the original catastrophe, as in the classical repetition compulsion. Okay, he's looking for a better outcome. Okay, he needs to repeat it because he's looking for a better outcome. He wants to augment the past and get a better past. He wants to redo the past to get a better past. That's what he means by augment, like get the love that was needed. He wants to get a better past. He wants to recapture and get a better past. Repetition compulsion. Or he may looking for a better ending. Yeah. Since the object script. Oh yeah, his thing about um, internal working models, endopsychic structure. He calls it script analysis. Oh boy, in the games from these scripts. So back to Gabe's story, you had a script and you had all these games. Okay, since the object of script analysis is to quote close the show and put a better one on the road, or like the road show. So we as a person is traumatized, they go through life putting on a road show. You want to close that road show and put on a better show. That's his. Yeah, I've never saw that one before. Okay, so when we're traumatized, we put on a painful road show. We go on the road, we live our life, we travel around, put on this show. Well, we want to close that old show and put on a better one for the road. It it is not too important to determine which of these alternatives applies or to sort out the conflicts in this area. For example, it is regarded as irrelevant whether the woman who failed to, I might have to move here in a minute. Let's see. Okay. It is regarded as irrelevant whether the woman who failed to rescue her alcoholic father is trying to fail again with her subsequent husbands or is trying to succeed where she failed before. So forget about the argument about why we repeat. Are you repeating just for the just only as a defense against memory, or are you repeating trying to remember? So whichever one it is, forget about that debate for the time being. The important thing is to free her from the compulsion to relive the situation and start her on some other path. This applies to any script which has proven unconstructive. Well, okay, now I would add here, I would add here that we do repeat to try to remember. We do repeat trying to remember. That's how you get on a better path and close the old road show and put on a better road show. Anyways, I include this quote for that line there. You want to close the show and put on a better one for the road. The death, the death of the old way of being, the birth of the new life, the new way of being when you get back your beingness. You had your beingness, you lost it, now you're dysfunctional, you want to stop it and get back your beingness. That's the new show. Now you're becoming who you were meant to become. This hour's only an hour and a half, eh? It feels like a 3 hour. It feels like I've been here for 3 hours for some strange reason. I don't know what it is. Yeah. What time is it? Let's see. Can I see that? Can I get the time here? Oh, 3:47. 3:47. Theoretically, I have 2 hours of light here, eh? Okay, next one here. Okay, so here's a new one. So we want to study this material so we can put on a better show for ourselves. Okay, one man describes one client's behavior as a recreation of the experience which marred his life, a repetition compulsion, an attempt to take control of an event which had previously been out of control. The client's victimatology was therefore by no means unique. As one man put it, quote, people often repeat their prior traumas, literally or symbolically, conscious or unconscious. So that's the traditional idea. We're trying to master the trauma, but you can have 20 lifetimes. Okay. Intergenerational trauma is never mastered. Passing on the trauma, nothing's mastered. A woman can spend her whole life shaming her children. She can spend every day shaming her children. She's never healed for what had happened to her back in her nursery. So repeating it doesn't correct her past like that. The strongest impulses emanate from unfulfilled wishes, impelling him to carry out some impulsive symbolic action. Okay, that's the neurotic need. So the neurotic need is called symbolic acting out. So when you jump for the cookies, that's symbolic acting out. You didn't get mother's sweetness, you didn't get mother's comfort. That's symbolic. Okay, so these old unfulfilled needs. You didn't get mother's love, so jump for the cookies. If closure is not achieved, fixation results, or what has been called repetition compulsion, because life innately strives for completion. Yeah, so there's this innate drive for healing. Yeah, there it is there. There's this innate drive for healing. This innate drive for healing is trying to make us conscious of the past so we can stop repeating, then we have completion. If we can mourning is the completion. But to do mourning, you got to build the ego. You got to get the truth and get the knowledge to build the ego. Then you can mourn. So the completion is you admit the mother failed, uh, and then you get the firebird. Once you get the firebird, you're good. Yeah, this is really my only ideal spot. There's no other spot I go to. I'm really kind of limited here. Okay, let's just keep going. Um, okay, innate drive for healing. So it's part of nature. It's part of this push to heal. It's the unconscious. Your energy, your system is saying, come on, you, be aware here. Make the inference here. Come on, interpret, analyze, observe your behavior, look in the mirror, reflect on it. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this same mistake over and over again? I'm trying to tell you something here. Something happened long ago. You forgot. I'm trying to help you to remember. Okay, so this is your double self talking to you, your secret self talking to you, your shadow self talking to you, the one who walks with you, who's not like you, who is you. That's someone who's living your life whom you know nothing about. That person is talking to you, your repressed self, your unknown self, your double self, okay, the secret self, the stranger within kind of thing. Okay, your beingness self, you're alienated from it, but it's trying to reunite. It's trying to come back into you. Snow White wants to come back. Rapunzel wants to come back. Okay, Echo, Solveig, Echo, all these princesses want to come back to the castle. And Odysseus wants to get back home and be reunited with his beingness. Penelope is the feeling side. Ithaca is his inner home. Penelope is like the beingness, the feminine element, the feminine principle, the princess. So in this innate drive, we repeat, come on, know what happened, know what happened, know what happened. So every time you pull the slot machine, know what happened, but you're missing it. Know what happened. Wait, and then you pause. Oh my God, am I doing this because my double self, my unconscious self, my soul, me is telling me what happened in the past, and that's why I'm doing this? That I'm doing this symbolic gesture, this neurotic quote unquote need. I'm doing this defensive stuff, this defense against pain. I'm doing all this just to this symbolic stuff, this symbolic acting out to know what happened in the past, to get my story, wants to get my story, and feel safe to talk about it with somebody, and to the point where you feel safe enough to until the Firebird comes, and you have an emotional knowing, then you stop repeating. Repetition compulsion, i.e., the compulsion to repeat painful experiences which one has not learned to overcome or live with. So you want to live it, like you want to live it, like you want to admit it. Then you lived it. The Greenberg film, Shrink said to the guy, "Oh yeah, you have trouble living in the present. You don't enjoy the present. The present's always the past for you. You linger in the past. You transfer the past to the present. The present's your presenting past. You transfer the past to the present. You don't really enjoy the present. You're doing this because um, you're in pain, and you never lived the past. You feel like you never lived your past. It wasn't complete. It's unresolved. It's unfinished. It was too much for you. You couldn't live it. You couldn't accept it. You couldn't assimilate it. You couldn't own it. Now it's like a ghost grabbing you all the time. It's like pulling you all the time. It's an imprint. It's keeping you stuck in the past. And because of the pain and because of the compulsion to repeat, we transfer that past to the present. Due to the compulsion to repeat, we transfer the past to the present. Um, Hoping for a better outcome, hoping for resolution, hoping for assimilation, hoping for psychosynthesis, hoping for identity, hoping for mourning, hoping to admit it. Now, this is deep stuff, right? So often you got to get your dreams involved, because in the morning stuff will come up to you in your dreams. So you got to treat them like letters from you to you. Go to yesterday's quote about the letters. You're going to get a letter. Every morning you get a letter. And one guy never opened it. Next day he got a letter, didn't open it, from him. His own handwriting on the letter. This one on, he got a pile of letters. He never opened it. Those are letters from him. Those are your dreams. Every morning you get a dream. John A. Sanford. Now, when I say John A. Sanford, I mean the guy who wrote Healing and Wholeness, Invisible Partners, the shrink, the psychology guy. He puts religious stories on the couch and teaches psychology by unpacking religious stories. That John A. Sanford. He says if you get a dream, you got to treat it like a letter from a Poseidon or somebody, like the energy of the id personified as Poseidon. Okay, your id is all the energy that's not available to your being. Is all your energy and life force is devoted to the repetition compulsion. It's destructive like that. That's powerful like that iceberg metaphor, and that symbolizes Poseidon. So Poseidon sends you a letter, don't you want to read? If your soul sends you a letter, don't you? If your own inner child of the past, you as a baby crying sends you a letter of help, Something's going on here. Like if you send a letter to yourself, don't you want to read it? Okay, so go to yesterday's quote about the thing about the letters. Unopened letters are unanalyzed dreams. Unanalyzed dreams are unopened letters. Dreams are language of the soul, Miss Woodman says. Infatuation is a repetition compulsion whose origins are in developmental failures. Okay, so this spellbound and love at first sight and wow, just one look, oh my God, you're the one, just one look, wow, just one sight, love at first sight. Okay, that's the fusion you didn't get, the oneness you didn't get. That's a developmental failure. Infatuation is a repetition compulsion whose origins are in developmental failures. Fantasy, which for both sexes derives from the original love object, i.e., the mother, the breast mother. Falling in love represents an attempt to undo the original separation from mother, as well as subsequent separations. People who become infatuated have an incapacity for establishing regular, stable relationships with others. Because nobody in the present can invent a time machine for you, take you back to the past, and give you the blissful oneness that you missed with the mother. So you're going to be disappointed, you're going to be angry, you're going to blame them on all this and accuse them of being a heartbreaker and all that. No, your mother broke your heart. You just recreated it to know that. Okay, I want to. This next one here is about anniversary reactions. Now we might not remember the trauma, but something in the present unknowingly might um, stimulate and be a catalyst for it. Like if you broke up on a certain date or something, 10 years ago, and on that specific date 10 years later, it might come up as an anniversary reaction. Okay, so he puts it this way: the anniversary reaction is the response to the unconscious sense of time. I never heard that before. The unconscious sense of time. It is a time-specific variation of the repetition compulsion, a psychological response arising on an anniversary of a psychologically significant experience which the individual attempts to master through reliving rather than through remembering. But you're trying to remember. You might actually um, let yourself be triggered because you're trying to remember. The anniversary reaction is characterized by some form of reenactment of events at the time when the mind associates present circumstances with one or more traumatic events of the past. So let's say somebody I don't know had their first fall in love experience in a park. Sometimes I see the young teenagers falling in love for the first time in the park here, and then 20 years later you're in a park that's very similar to the first park. You might the feeling might come up, right? Such reactions can occur at yearly, decade-long, or other intervals, or at a particular time of day, month, or year. They can also occur in relation to the ages in a person's life or in the life of a loved one with which traumatic events are associated. So let's say the parent died on a certain day. 5 years later, you're getting anxiety about it. You don't know, why do you feel anxious? Well, now you're remembering the loss and the pain because that date is the same date at that time. Such reactions may also be a sign that the necessary process of mourning for a lost loved one is not yet complete. Yeah. So that tells you that you didn't mourn the loss. So if the parent passed away on a certain date, let's say, and 5 years later, you're feeling all upset, you don't know why, well, ask yourself, what's so special about this date? Look at the calendar. What date is this? Did anything happen in my past on this date? Oh my God. That tells you you didn't mourn the past. Okay, the next two, I'll save the next two for when we get to 57. The next two are about narcissism, different topic here. So I just want to focus on these sort of repetition compulsion ones. So we'll redo these when we get to 57. Let's quickly look at 58. These chairs are not too comfortable, unfortunately. They're kind of they're too narrow. It's not, there's no back support. I need to bring a pillow or something. Oh, jeez. Hey, maybe let me try something. Hold a second. Maybe I'll just play a little musical break here. Hold on, so let's play another musical break here. Let's play Ain't Life a Brook. Yeah, let's play, it's not too loud here. Okay, here's a song by the folk singer Farron called Ain't Life a Brook. I'll see you in 3 minutes. Let's take a 3-minute break here.
Watch you reading a book. I get to thinking our love's a falling stone. You give me a long, strong look. I know pretty soon you're gonna leave our home, and of course mine. Especially when I'm thinking from
Okay,
my
again.
heart.
Let's try again. Ain't Life a Brook by Farron.
I watch you reading a book. I get to thinking our love's a polished stone. You give me a long, strong look. I know pretty soon you're gonna leave our home, and of course mine. Especially when I'm thinking from my heart. But life don't clickety-clack down the street line track. It come together and it come up fun. You say you hope I'm not the kind to make you feel obliged to go, taking through your time with a pain. Look in your eyes, you give me the furniture, we'll divide the photographs. Go out to dinner one more time, have ourselves a bottle of wine and a couple of laughs. When first you left, I stayed so sad I wouldn't sleep. I know that love's a gift, I thought yours was mine, and something that I could keep. Now I realize time is not the only compromise. A bird in the hand could be an all-night stand between a blazing fire and a pocket of sky. And so I hope I'm not the kind to make you feel obliged to go, digging through your time with a pain. Look in your eyes. I covered the furniture, I framed photographs. Went out to dinner one more time, had myself a bottle of wine and a couple of laughs. Just the other day, I got your letter in the mail. I'm happy for you, it's been so long. You've been wanting a cabin and a backwoods trail, and I think that's great. Me, I seem to find myself in school. It's all okay, I just wanna say I'm so relieved we didn't do it cruel, but ain't life a brook? Just when I get to feeling like a polished stone, I give me a long, drawn look. It's kind of a drag to find yourself alone, and sometimes a mind, especially when I'm waiting on your heart. But life don't clickety-clack down a straight line track. It come together and it come apart. 'Cause I know you're not the kind to make me feel obliged to go taking through my time with the pain. Look in my eyes, I sold the furniture, I put away photographs. Went out to dinner one last time, had myself a bottle of wine and a couple of laughs. But wasn't it fun?
Hopefully you heard it okay. The volume wasn't working too well on it. Okay, let's quickly talk about these ones here. Okay, okay, so part of this innate drive for healing, the final aim is the realization of the total personality. We're looking for wholeness, healing and wholeness. Our beingness that we're alienated from is looking for home. So that's our home, and our home is looking for home, and we're the home for our missing home. So we want the reunition, to be reunited with ourselves. Every finding is a refining. So that's healing, and then your symptoms go away, they say. What has been rejected tends not only to persist and repeat itself in its infantile form, but also to demand recognition in the form of symptoms. So symptoms means the inner child is still crying and screaming to the mother. You get a psychosomatic symptom, that's the original cry and scream to the mother. It just went detoured because the mother gaslit the baby. So baby has feelings around his needs not being met. Baby's crying and all that. Mother, I don't get it. But the feelings have to go somewhere. The body bears the burden. Okay, mysteriously between this psychological, emotional need to the body. Every body remembers somatic memories. The body remembers. Every body tells a story like that. So the baby's crying and screaming. Mother says no, no. It goes inward. Delay, detour. It ends up somewhere in the body. You get a symptom. The pain of the symptom, that's the cry and the scream that's still going on. It's gotta be listened to. Like the mother didn't listen to the baby, so it's screaming through the body like that, through the symptoms, psychosomatic symptoms. What has been rejected tends not only to persist and repeat itself in infantile form. Oh, the band has started. Oh, I don't know how it's going to affect the video here. Let's see. Yeah, they're just kids. They're pretty good. I heard them before. They're like in junior high or something. They're barely like 13 or 14 or something. Oh my goodness, yeah. They're like between, I don't know, yeah, maybe 14, 15, 16, something like that. What has been rejected tends not only to persist and repeat itself in its infantile form, but also to demand recognition in the form of symptoms. Rejected parts of the personality are like children clamoring to be let into the room. So that the symptom, that's the child screaming still. They will continue to cause a disturbance, your symptoms, until they are accepted. So shrinks one always got to talk about it. Talking cure. That's what this is all about. Let's talk about it. So you can mourn, accept what you denied, face the unmet needs, uh, validate that you had these feelings, validate. Don't gaslight yourself the way your mother gaslit you. Validate your feelings. And these symptoms will keep going. So these are emotional. Psychosomatic symptoms reveal and conceal the emotional conflict. It is as if even the most infantile aspects of the personality, the aspects of which we should most like to rid ourselves, were endowed with dynamic energy, which demanded that they too should seek expression. Personality ultimately seeks realization as a whole, and however much the ego may seek to reject that which it finds hard to tolerate, the rejected parts will make their appearance somewhere, whether as symptoms or as projections upon other people. Okay, the final aim is the realization of the total personality. He was very young when he wrote that. He was only 40 years old, he said, when he wrote that. That was his first book. Okay, here's the self-defeating behavior. Okay, so they call it here the adult masochist, meaning emotional masochist, self-defeating behavior. Now remember, the sadist is just crosses over their own masochism is onto others, which they are sadistic towards. Okay, that's their own soul they're projecting. So the sadist, okay, that's the crossover, the Faustian deal. Shaming your own soul, too painful to shame your own soul. You are the emotional masochist underneath the emotional sadist, but you don't know it because you're finding others to be a proxy for you, to see as a part of you, to play your masochistic you, and you shame them, shaming yourself. But when you shame others, it distracts you and makes you unaware that you're shaming yourself. So the sadist is still the masochist underneath, but he has a more of a deep pain to see others as that. Remember, the more pain, the more repressed, the more rejected, the more projected. Okay, the more denied, the more it's projected. So if he's got too much pain, he's got to see others as his masochistic self, painful self, unloved child. He crosses over to the freezing parent construct, shames himself though his mother shamed him. Too painful, so find proxies to play him whom he's going to shame to make him unaware that he's shaming himself. The adult masochist, okay, or the crossovered one, has suffered some form of deprivation or trauma at the hands of the breast mother. The mother in the first year of life, basically. Um, the mother may not have been sensitive enough to the child's need for milk. She may have been emotionally unresponsive or responded inappropriately. Okay, that's the misattunement, the malattunement, force feeding, all this inappropriate stuff. Or she's resentful to the baby. Um, she wants to brainwash the baby to be dependent on her because she wants supply, all inappropriate stuff in dyadic interaction with the child. Or she may have physically abused the child. Oh boy, wow. That's sad stuff that a mother would do that. Unbelievable. Such a mother has, in a sense, defeated her child. And the child, having had no adequate experience of what it means to be victorious, grows up to be someone who tends to engage in self-defeating behavior. That's a deep imprint. If the mother crushed the baby like that, they'll be self-defeating. Now, it doesn't matter if they remain self-defeating or they just cross over in the perversion of being the aggressor. Um, the masochist repeats prior defeats. In effect, quote, now, if they don't cross over, if they're like the clingers and the pleasers and self-defeating one, okay, the child one, okay, they didn't make the Faustian bargain. If they're still in the childlike painful state, they say, in effect, quote, I shall repeat the masochistic wish of being deprived by my mother by creating or misusing situations in which some substitute of my mother image shall refuse my wishes. Repetition compulsion. In German, wir der Holungszwang. Did I get that right? That's the first time I've seen that word in German. Repetition compulsion. Wie der Holungszwang. Wie der Holungszwang. Repetition compulsion. Not all such repetition is necessarily masochistic, although most shrinks agree that masochistic practices do tend to be repetitive in nature. So that's the one added little point about self-defeating behavior. The child felt way too defeated, way too crushed if the mother hit the baby or something like that. He's too defeated. Now, I don't know at what point the child may or may not make the Faustian bargain, the Faustian deal. You can imagine a child like this would be tempted to make the Faustian deal. So, depending on how painful it was, if it's way too painful, I don't know, maybe he can't even make the Faustian bargain. At some point, some traumatized babies make the Faustian deal, and then they shame others the way the mother shamed them. So they find proxies um, to be disappointed, and they'll be the disappointer onto them, and the proxies them, and they're the mother. Okay, next one here. She was successful in preventing punishment by the parent, for she did nonetheless punish herself. Okay, so in sometimes the child gets some control and agency if they do it to themselves before the mother does it to them. So the mother hurts the baby, the child hurts himself. Well, I did it. He feels this pyrrhic kind of victory like that. He gets some narcissistic agency if he hurts himself. He's got something rather than just being passive. So let's say mother criticizes him. Okay, I'll criticize myself. I'm doing it. She was successful in preventing punishment by the parent, for she did nonetheless punish herself. She gained a measure of control over the situation by taking that control away from the parent. Yeah, mother, you got all this pleasure hurting me. I'll hurt myself. Her masochistic actions constituted a narcissistic assertion, in effect, quote, I did it. Like an agency, a narcissistic pride, neurotic pride, at least I did it. That kind of thing. The shift of control is away from an outside agent to the asserting self. This shift is based on an illusion, of course, for it would never have had to take place if the self were really in control. Yeah. But it does give the developing child a means to reduce anxiety. Okay, Bernhard Berliner says that, quote, the masochistic hangs on, so to speak, to a breast which is not there and which he has to repudiate when it could be there symbolically. Okay. Yeah, did you get it? Yeah, interesting way of putting it. Oh, good, they stopped. Oh, they were just testing. I think they stopped. Okay. Oh, that was just a sound check, huh? Okay, these three people, quote, okay, Lane, Hull, and Foe Renbach, is that right? One of the most important functions of negativity in later life is to simultaneously express and defend against unconscious symbiotic longings, wishes to return to the earliest relationship with the mother, a relationship that bore a stamp of negativity, unquote. Okay, and then he gave some examples. So these examples, adducing these examples, they state, quote, these actions, these self-defeating behaviors, okay, may represent unconscious attempts, unconscious enactments of a primitive fantasy of merging with the destructive mother. Okay, the masochist or the sadist, they simultaneously express longing for symbiotic merger with the mother and defends himself or herself against such longing. The fantasy of fusion is there, but so also is the self-defining defense against the fantasy, both wrapped up in one masochistic or sadistic act. Yeah, so there's a real chaos there. This enraged to go back to the mother, but the desire to get to the mother and the rage with the mother. So look at that, eh? The baby's screaming, "Mother, where are you? I'm enraged at you. I need you, and I'm enraged at you." So that later on leads to this kind of stuff. Oh, and they talked about swaddling. I didn't know this was still going on, but apparently, in some places around the world, it might still be going on. This swaddling is really that's really terrible. Uh, Swaddling may be said to encourage masochism, which of course would encourage sadism if it crosses over. Is this the style one? Oh, here's not a bad one. Okay, this one here. The caregiver-child dance. Think of it this way: the care, so the interpersonal, baby mother interpersonal, the mother caregiver child dance, back and forth. Okay, the caregiver dash child dance. This internalized interaction pattern becomes an internal working model. If this internalized cycle is dysfunctional due to parental whatever, a repetition compulsion of the pathological cycle may occur and continue during adulthood. Therapy brings, psychoanalytic therapy brings automatic, dysfunctional impulse gratification cycles into awareness so they can be replaced with more adaptive and intentional behavior patterns. The last one here about dreams. Confused and incoherent. That's what dreams seem to be when one tries to interpret them according to their content rather than in light of their psychological purposes. So you got to interpret your dreams as an intention, a psychological purpose. Okay, showing you your structure, your theme, your imprint, your templates, showing you what are you repeating, what are you trying to feel, what are you trying to mourn about, what are you trying to know where the trauma is. It's a psychological working through process. Now, in the unconscious, there's no time, there's condensation, there's shift, there's a shifting and symbolization that can represent that. So you got to unpack it. I can't quite tell if people are hearing me. No one seems. There's people in front of me, just sitting in front of me. They don't seem bothered by my talking. Okay, I guess maybe there's enough background noises. They don't hear me. Okay, so that's most of the preview for. So what I just did was a preview of 29, 57, and 8. Um, Now let's quickly run through today's quotes about the Forbidden Planet. Now, since I kind of covered it a fair bit already, I'm not going to really focus too much on it. Basically, this planet, this Forbidden Planet, it's a symbol of the unconscious. Now, they were trying to show you and teach you. It's a psychological teaching. This film, 1956 film called The Forbidden Planet. It's the first major science fiction film. They were trying to teach you psychology. They refer to the monsters on the planet as id monsters, monsters from the id, okay, unconscious. How you don't know you feel. And there's a monster. Well, that's code for how you felt, but you don't know it. But now you watch the film, now you know it. So you don't think it's external. Okay, it's from within. The beast is from within. The monster's from within. Okay, the rage you felt, that the trauma, that's from within. Symbolize it as a monster. In the film, it looked like the Tasmanian devil. We don't see the creature. We see his footprints and a brief outline at one point. Kind of looked like the Tasmanian devil. But the point is, one of the points of the film is that's not some external thing attacking these people. Okay, Morbius is linked to the planet, which is his unconscious, and this planet has the power to materialize your wishes. Just like how a baby thinks he makes things happen. Like a baby says, "I want something." Oh, there it is. It's materialized. The baby thinks that. That's unconscious stuff, right? Okay, so they that's one point of the film that so in the actual film, we have it here. Did I bring it? 40 was it 48? 48. Yeah, here it is. In the actual film, okay, one of the lines in there is so Morbius is the guy on the planet, right? This lonely professor kind of guy. See, they said he was a linguist, a philologist, a language specialist. a linguist specialist, a specialist of languages, and he spent 20 years trying to understand the language of the planet. So that's a metaphor that we got to understand and interpret our dreams. So he was trying to interpret his dreams. Now, he didn't get to the place where this planet had the added feature that it was made by some advanced alien um, from long ago that were millions of years ahead of humans. And this planet found a way to materialize your thoughts. So, so science fiction, right? But it was made as a teaching aid, but it was used to um, teach you psychology. So Morbius, this guy, Mr. Morbius, okay, code for Morpheus, like a messenger of your dreams. It can be Hermes, it can also be Morpheus. So when you get a dream in the morning, that's like Morpheus sending you the letter. Like who hands you the letter? Usually it's Hermes, sometimes it's Morpheus. His name was Morbius because he was trying to interpret his dreams. And he's a language specialist. And he was studying the hieroglyphics-like language of this advanced, super advanced future alien race or something, called the Krell or something. Okay, so from the film, somebody said to Morbius, Morbius, when you thought we were interrupting your life here, and one of my staff here, the playboy who was messing with your daughter or something, you're unconscious. The planet sent its id monster out again. And he didn't know these monsters were manifestations of the planet. Morbius has a daughter on the planet, I forgot. And then these visitors came. One of the visitors was a playboy kind of guy messing with his daughter a little bit. And then he was enraged at it, but he didn't know he was really enraged at it. So a monster appeared and attacked the guy, the playboy, the sky wolf. They called him the sky wolf, space wolf, or something like that. And then when the other guys were interrupting his life, again the monsters were attacking these people. He didn't know. He actually honestly didn't know that these were manifestations of his unconscious feelings of rage towards these visitors. So, but the viewer of the film gets the narration kind of thing. Okay, so in other words, Forbidden Planet contradicts the idea of the monster as some kind of feared external thing, and it embarrasses people who think like that. So people who are very, very traumatized, they say that their feelings um, are coming from the outside to them. Like they project so much, they don't want to know this within. So it'll embarrass these people who are very, very traumatized. She calls them the paranoiac audiences. All right. Forbidden Planet contradicts the idea of the monster or beast as some kind of feared invader kind of thing, outsider kind of thing, and this embarrasses the film. This science fiction film embarrasses a lot of people by making them face the idea that the worst monster lies within us. The hidden menace lurking in our minds is portrayed in this film as these invisible monsters that look like the Tasmanian devils, literally made of power coming from Morbius's unconscious or subconscious and the atomic generators controlling the planet's entropic system. Okay, the alien technology, right? The monster, the monster lingers, but is re-envisioned as invisible and a product not of outside forces, but of man's own psyche, a monster from the id. The invisible monster is revealed to be a projection of Morbius's enraged feelings, now rendered visible by the machinery left behind by the Krell. Okay, and somebody in the film said, well, what is this id stuff? What's with this id monster of the id? What do you mean by id? And Morbius says, well, it's an obsolete term, I'm afraid, once used to describe the elementary basis of the unconscious mind. That's not bad, eh? It turns out that this planet, this installation, was designed to materialize any object that could be imagined. Its inventors, the Krell, had foolishly overlooked that the equipment would materialize what was in their unconscious minds. And that's why the Krell disappeared. Huh? So the Krell, it's a lesson for us. It's a lesson for us So this imaginary people called the crowd, um, they always thought like consciously I want this, consciously I want this, think this, and there it is. Um, like you have a thought for something and there it is, right? They kept doing this, and that's what the planet machine was able to do. What they forgot was all the time they're doing this, they're denying their unconscious feelings. But the planet, meanwhile, would materialize their unconscious feelings. So the Krell were attacked by their own monsters. That's why we don't see them. And then this has been going on for 200,000 years. That planet's been there for 200,000 years. I.e., we became Homo Traumicus 200,000 years ago. Monsters of the id are a popular ploy in films of all genres during the 50s when Freudian psychology arrived on the motion picture screen. Okay, and they made some other points about this film. You know, one person shouldn't have too much power like that. Um, so Morbius at one point became morbid, and look what happened to him because he couldn't know all that stuff. Even Morbius didn't know about the monsters. So look what happened in the end to him. Now he tried to he self-sabotaged himself um, to protect his daughter. So like that, he was a good father and all that, but he was too much. So that they said, well, one person shouldn't have too much power like that or something. Um, okay, the 1956 film The Forbidden Planet. Okay, so Morbius's id became actualized. Forbidden Planet utilizes the literary device of a machine which makes real that which one desires to explore in metaphor the childhood thought processes of omnipotence and magical thinking. So babies think they materialize what they want. Babies think they create everything. Unconditional hallucinatory omnipotence, omnipotence of thought. Uh, even the baby in the crib um, shakes his rattle and mother comes with a toy or something. He thinks he kind of materialized that or something. One second. Okay, all right. I wasn't sure if someone was gonna complain about my talking or something. Just walking by. All right. Well, they're sitting right in front of me, so they can. If that's the case. Okay, next one. Maybe I'll start to wind it down here, anyways. Okay, let's. Okay, even Pogo, the cartoon strip, Pogo says it. We have met the beast, and he is us. The monster we fear most is in us. Okay, there are a couple of more sort of in this area. In particular, the follow up, the Star Trek episode follow up. So, a very good follow up to Forbidden Planet. I highly recommend watching the Forbidden Planet. Okay, the planet is a symbol of the unconscious. So, Morbius is linked to the unconscious because he's studying the language. The other characters disappeared because they had no link. Um, so, presumably, you don't see them because they don't have the link to the unconscious. So, only he was there, basically. Okay, it's a very good film, very good film. Oh yeah, and one. Now it's funny. They said they didn't promote it. They didn't promote it for some strange reason. Quite a few reviewers were unsettled by a monster from so Freudian a source. What? This is psychology? No, no, don't teach us psychology. We're freaking out here. Okay, fine, fine. We'll highlight some silly little thing about the film. For example, there's a robot holding a woman in his arms. Is that okay for you? Quite a few reviewers were unsettled by a monster from so Freudian a source, evidently preferring, one could read between the lines, a more substantial and traditional. Okay, so these are the paranoid people. No, it's got to be an external. It's got to be external. I don't want to know that's with him. I don't want to know that these monsters are how I felt with the trauma with my mother. Don't tell me that my mother hurt me. Don't tell me that my mother traumatized me. Don't tell me that my mother failed me and I'm enraged like that. And that image, that Tasmanian devil is code for that, how I felt with that. Don't tell me that. Tell me it's external. Don't tell me it's with him. They were freaking out like this. The paranoid people were freaking out like this. As a result, the movie people scrapped whatever intellectual appeal its advertising was reaching for and concentrated instead on some cute little robot holding the daughter in his arms. Okay. Forbidden Planet drew sizable audiences, but perhaps not the audiences it deserved. So look at that. You scared away the intellectual thinking mind types and treated it like some low-grade B movie. So you promoted it like a low-grade B movie, although they spent a lot of money on it. They scrapped it. So now it's considered like a little cult classic. So a few people appreciate it. It's a cult classic like that. It's not in the mainstream. It should be on par with Wizard of Oz, to tell you the truth. But to tell you the truth, I think the reason it wouldn't be on par with Wizard of the Oz, because the annoying captain, they pick some pretty boy Ken doll to be the captain. Some childlike, always enraged, and he has this spiteful little hostile outburst, verbal outbursts. He's not a captain. He's not a leader. He's a 20-year-old, handsome-looking guy or something, and he's the captain. He's kind of arrogant like that, and he looks really childish sometimes. So it's very unconvincing, unappealing. There's no way we can look up to him. We kind of look down on him. He's boring. He's pedantic. He's something like that. So I think the captain failed. They tanked it with the captain choice, plus with not telling you or promoting the intellectual side, that it's teaching you psychoanalysis. It's teaching you that you have an unconscious, and these monsters on the planet, they're code for how you felt when your mother traumatized you. So that's what they're trying to tell you. They're trying to tell you that you felt enraged, like those monsters are enraged, and you wanted to attack your mother, like you wanted to express your anger at your mother. So these monsters would attack mother substitutes, or being reminded of the mother. Oh, they're back. Oh, the kids are back. I think the music's gonna start here soon. Well, let's listen to the first and second song and wrap it up maybe. Okay, I'll just leave the rest of the quote. I've discussed the remaining quotes already in previous videos, so they're for your reference as well. So your mission, should you choose to, can we play Mission Impossible? Do we have the theme song? No, we don't have it. Oh, I don't have it yet. Well, I wonder if that's copyrighted. Oh, I've never done that. Yeah, let me experiment with playing the theme song to Mission Impossible, and then I'll give you your mission. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to watch Forbidden Planet and then watch the follow-up. The follow-up to it is called Requiem for Methuselah from the Star Trek series, season 3, episode 19 or 21 or something like that. From the original Star Trek series with Spock and all that. And Spock's playing the piano, the Requiem for the loss of our soul for the past 6,000 years. So they pick up on it from when we became Homo Traumicus 6,000 years ago. So for 6,000 years, we've been Homo Traumicus as symbolized by the 6,000-year-old man. Okay, so he lived for 6,000 years as various famous people throughout history. And in the end, when we meet him, he's just an ordinary guy, a scientist, a secluded scientist, like Morbius, a Mr. Flint like that. But he was Brahms, and he was Einstein, and he was all these famous people. So he symbolizes the suffering of the eternal love triangle for the past 6,000 years. So Mr. Flint there, the 6,000-year-old man, what was he doing? Even after 6,000 years, what was he doing? He was trying to create a perfect robot, a perfect mother. And then the Kirk guy, just one look, that's all it took. Oh, just one look, instant, spellbound. Mother, I want her. What are you talking about? She's mine. I've been working on her for 6,000 years. I want her mine. So the two guys are fighting over this robot. And the narration was the eternal love triangle. For the past 6,000 years, as a symptom of her traumatized state, because the baby's removed from the mother, okay, betrayed. Most babies are being betrayed by the mother. Then we're looking for that. We're looking for that. So Mr. Flint was or the Methuselah. He had various names throughout history. One of them was Methuselah. That's a made-up thing to symbolize man's suffering for the past 6,000 years. Methuselah was 1,000 years old or something. Just made some made-up thing. So that's a symbol that we've been in pain in our traumatized condition for the past 6,000 years. There's this time 1,000, like just continuous like that, like one all the time. So he was Methuselah. He was Einstein and Mozart and all these people. Um, and here at the end, he's just an ordinary scientist trying to create a robot mother, perfect woman, robot woman, wife, mother, whatever. And then Kirk tried to take her because he wanted mother. He wanted mother. So you got the two guys fight. Now you could traditionally say Kirk is the baby, okay, Mr. Flint's the father, and the robot's the mother, and the baby Kirk wants to kick out the father. Give me the mother. You could argue like that, but I think it's the eternal triangle is the baby didn't get his needs met with the mother. That's transferred over to the father. What a mess! The father can't do what the mother should do. So you got this mess, and you transfer this mess for 6,000 years. And then you got Spock in the background playing the Requiem, the name of the episode, Requiem, for us as being traumatized. Now, he didn't play a Requiem, he just played some waltz for the people to dance with. But the title of the episode is that. Oh, here they go. Oh, it sounds like a rock band. Huh? They're heavy on the bass. Reminds me of nothing, yeah. But they got the beat. Not too bad, yeah. That'd be pretty fun, eh? Just to be a musicians have a lot of fun, huh? Don't they? I gotta say. Okay. Okay. Hold on a second. Okay. So in Forbidden Planet, they said we came on the scene 200,000 years ago. Well, we got one quote here from Mr. Redgrove. He says 300,000 years, whatever it is. So we grew the cortex somewhere between 150 and 300,000 years ago. We became Homo sapiens. But then 10,000 years ago, or in Star Trek at 6,000 years ago, we became a traumatized version of ourselves. Now you got Spock playing the piano. We've been suffering for the past 6,000 years in our traumatized state. Why are so many babies being removed from the mother? Okay, so we gotta stop this nonsense and leave the cord, leave the placenta, stop betraying the baby. Maybe it's an original song. I don't recognize it. All right. Yeah, everybody in the park's gonna hear them. Yeah, a couple hundred people here. A lot of kids. Yeah. Oh, finally they're leaving. Jesus Christ. There was a. Oh no, they're not leaving. Just in front of me, just directly in front of me, there's a distracting kind of thing going on. Yeah. So once again, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to watch Forbidden Planet, then the Star Trek follow-up, Requiem for Methuselah. Okay. Identify one quote in this batch, just one. It's good enough. Email it to yourself. Use it as a prompt to free associate with, a springboard to free associate. What does this quote suggest to me? What does this quote remind me of? And when a feeling comes up, validate your feeling and say, I must have a very good reason for feeling this. What's the hardest thing about this feeling that I'm feeling now? Name the feeling and see what comes up. Make the unconscious conscious. Oh, he's singing. Now he's singing. I don't know if you can hear it, but there's the kids, like a high school band kind of thing. Some feedback, usual feedback. There's a guy singing, but you can barely hear it. This must maybe it's a local song, original song, or a cover of a local song. Oh, what a relief! I'd much prefer to hear the local bands, see what they're like, than instead of hearing Andy Gibb. Yesterday we talked about Andy Gibb a little bit, about the shadow dancing song. It sound, that could easily be on stage. That very stuff could be on stage with 100,000 people jumping up and down screaming. Yeah, yesterday's video I thought was pretty good. Also, it was done on a little balcony. It was done on a balcony belonging to a little restaurant. It was a smoking sort of section. That wasn't too bad. 3-hour video. We discussed we covered a fair bit of ground. I'm kind of curious how this video turns out when I play it back, about the visual and audio. I think I'm going to kind of wrap it up here. Things are getting busier. Got a bunch of kids running around here. Here's another one. Hold on a second. Yeah, some kid just went right up to me. They're curious. The kids are awfully curious about me for some reason. What's he talking about? What's he doing? They must sense the childlike side of me. There's another More kids. Maybe I missed my calling. Maybe I should have been a teacher. But I think all kids should graduate with a copy of 1001 Windmills of the Mind in their hand. Give every high school kid a copy of 1001 Windmills of the Mind with its associated recommended reading list and audiovisual material list, like the films, like the mental hygiene films, and the Twilight Zone episodes, and so on. Um, so we've talked about a dozen Twilight Zone episodes already. Um, yeah, I better wrap it up here. What time is it? Let's see. 4:52. I'm not sure if you're hearing the band in the background or not. If you're not hearing it, there's a full-on rock concert going. Well, the drummer is very fluid. Like the drummer looks very relaxed doing his thing. They got to work on the audio. There's another audio issue. You can barely hear the singer. You don't really hear the singer. His voice is muffled. They need an audio technician there. Fix that. That's it. Oh, yeah. They're on the. They sound very good. This band. If they're only 15, they sound excellent. Oh my goodness. If they can learn some team building skills, communication skills, conflict resolution skills, fix the imprints in their brain. Like individually, each person's got to have a healthier parental model in their mind so they can all get along with each other. Otherwise, they'll transfer, project, and fight with each other. And then they can stay together and become a super band, like Pavlov's Dog. What a great band, Pavlov's Dog. We've got 4 songs on our soundtrack by the classic rock band Pavlov's Dog. Late November, very good song. Actually, the singer David Surkamp and his band did a live version of it this year, September 2024 in Athens, Greece. Look, that's a good cover of Late November. So Late November, Julia, theme from Subway Sue, and episode. 4 great songs by Pavlov's Dog. Another important triangle is Masterson's axiom. Self-activation triggers abandonment depression, which leads to defense. Self-activation, that'd be the gold one, triggers abandonment depression, which leads to defense. So when you want to activate your adult mind, that'll bring up the template, the pain of the past. And when there's pain, you engage in a defense mechanism, whatever it may be, smoking, drinking, acting out, symbolic acting out, blame. Usually it's blaming. Oh, they fixed the microphone, yeah. Now you can hear it. Okay, let's wrap it up here, yeah. Okay, for the love of narrative medicine, I'll see you in the next video. So I thought we covered some solid quotes here. the preview, 2957 and 8, and I'll review them I'll do them again when we get there, of course. Any closing thoughts here? Okay, for the love of narrative medicine, thanks very much. We'll see you in the next video. I'd normally like to close up with our theme song, which is Katja Epstein's German cover of the song Windmills of the Mind. I'll do it next time. For the love of narrative medicine, your mission, should you choose to accept it. Forbidden Planet, the film, the follow-up episode by Star Trek, Requiem for Methuselah, one quote from here, and when in the morning when you get a dream, just free associate a little bit from it. Regard it as a letter from you to you. Try to make the unconscious conscious. TTAQ. Give the dream a title. Identify the theme. A for affect. Q for question. Make a question you think your unconscious is asking you. For the love of narrative medicine, I'll see you next time.